Quick pep talk from Team Radio. We listen.
Yeah, Kevin.
Oh, Richard.
This is take care of it when we need it. Guys, be solid in the pits, track positions, everything. Just join us.
Oh, thank you, man.
Green flag. We're underway at Pocono. Straightaway, named for the town the racetrack is in, across the tunnel turn for the first time.
They did explain these are 200 laps to finish this race, right? I see 3 wide racing in a hurry.
Kurt Busch on the move. And out of the very flat turn number 3, we'll see cars racing up the racetrack some because of a lane that was paved there a few races back. Though as that pavement gives up grip, we'll see more guys toward the bottom than we have maybe in the last few races here.
Yeah, that's the one thing we have seen is just more and more racing down low off of that corner, and I think it's going to make for a great one today. See Ryan Newman now working the inside. Problem is getting down into turn 1 on the bottom. It's very bumpy. Wow, look at Biffle.
Yeah, you see Biffle down there made it 3 wide inside of Kyle Busch, but he knew that he couldn't hit those bumps on the bottom and really be out of shape.
Did a good job to collect it there and not collect Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle gave him a little room also.
Edwards and Newman, 39.99. That's for 6th position. Harvick in the 29 trying to follow Edwards through.
Pretty bold move by Burton getting into the tunnel turn.
Mr. Pocono, Denny Hamlin on the move, taking 3rd spot from Martin Truex.
He had some trouble with this 11 car in the initial practice on Friday, really hitting a number of things on the bottom of the car there. Had to work in probably about half of that first practice session to get that remedied, but since then that car has been extremely fast.
Dropping back, see Jimmy Johnson there in 48 trying to move a little bit farther forward. Paul Menard losing a couple spots on the break in that 27.
Now, Dale, that looks like that bottom works pretty good when you have new tires on. Does it work that good after you get some laps on them?
You know, as you slow down a little bit and you get some laps, it's actually a little bit better at that point in time. But you can see Jimmy made a little wider entry in there and then kind of drove straighter across instead of catching those on his entry.
Brad Keselowski, sore feet, sore back and all. Moving forward a little bit. That's the 10th position he's trying to pick up from Jeff Burton.
Now, he's very aware that they need a great day here and try to get another win.
22 Kurt Busch in 4th position. Truex behind him and Edwards peeking the nose to the inside.
We watched Carl Edwards qualifying on Saturday. It really was impressive on how that car went across the bump through the tunnel turn, almost like yanking the rubber off the tires. We had a really good shot of that, and it's just so bumpy over there.
We talked about the roughness of all the corners down on the bottom side, and you can kind of dodge those in 1 and 3 by going higher, but there's no other place to go over the tunnel right here.
Like Burton just gave those 2 spots away getting into the tunnel.
Last year's winner Greg Biffle in 16 moving up. One of those guys that really could use a win. Hanging in there in the championship. But a win would be big for him right now.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time just driving his way up into that top 10. I mean, obviously, if 5 second-place finishes would help, but to really feel good, he needs a win and then some consistency to go with that.
Checking out some of the side-by-side racing a little deeper in the field while Joey Logano continues to lead. That's Mark Martin in the 5 on the move.
He's never won here, but a lot of people were talking about how good his car was in practice on Friday.
Yeah, but then came qualifying on Saturday, and Mark wound up 25th on the starting grid.
See Dave Blaney right behind Mark Martin. Had a good qualifying run, qualified 21st.
Another car that failed a little bit yesterday that was fast in practice on Friday, A.J. Allmendinger in that 43. Got a really, he was lucky to bring that car back in qualifying yesterday, but moving forward here today.
Yeah, he's among the 5 fastest in practice. Expected a good starting spot. Wound up taking the green flag today, 29th. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick with Martin Truex. Busch in the 18, Harvick in the 29. Last race here, they were together for a time and it got a little heated, and memory serves, there was a radio warning issued from the control tower that they might want to cool it a little bit.
Don't be surprised to have that. You see Harvick a little bit loose into the throttle there off the turn one.
It looked like it cost him much time, but you can see that car wobbling a little bit.
Make these guys masters of driving these cars hung out like that. They just have a lot of trust in the side force, and the car's not going to get out from under them.
Truex falling back a little bit from the start. He took the green in third position. And we saw Denny Hamlin take third a little while ago. Now that 11 car with a little wiggle there, trying to get up on Casey Kane's back bumper to grab second.
You can see Denny trying a little different line off of that to get a little bit of air to the nose of that car. You see Kevin Harvick making a pass on Martin Truex. Kyle Busch going to try to follow him through.
So that 56 car slipping back a little bit since the start.
It looks like he's really fighting his car right in the center, and as he tries to get back to the throttle, the 56 of Truex. Maybe not quite as much rear grip as he would like to have.
Here goes Denny.
I don't think this is surprising to anyone that Denny Hamlin's moving forward.
Yeah, it looks like Denny's car is really good in turn 1 and 2. Not quite as good in turn 3. That's why he made that pass on Casey before he got there.
So Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas running in positions 1 and 2 in the early laps today at Pocono. Joey Logano started on pole. He's led all of the laps so far, but we're just underway. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Pocono, presented by the Sprint Summer Showdown. Joey Logano, the leader in the early laps, out in front by 1.7 seconds on second place runner Denny Hamlin. There is Denny. We saw him just before the break move up into that runner-up position. There's the 1.7 second gap back. While we were in the break, third position changed hands.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, who finished second here in the race back in June, has moved up into that third spot now. Very fast race car today.
Casey Kane slipped back to fourth. Carl Edwards is fifth. Kyle Busch is sixth. There is Kevin Harvick in seventh position, driving a Chevy. He's driving it like he wants to win in it. Chevy brings you Drive It Like You Want It. Enter for a chance to win a new Chevy Silverado and a trip to the Texas Motor Speedway. And meet Team Chevy drivers Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. Visit DriveItLikeYouWantIt.com now.
Harvick, the highest running Chevy driver. He's getting pushed hard by another Chevy, though, with Ryan Newman.
And now Newman's a guy after practice on Friday that we all thought was going to be on the pole for today's race. And his qualifying lap just didn't turn out that way. He wound up starting in 12th. And Junior picking up a spot in the 88.
I talked to Junior and them on Friday. They were very confident in their race car, and after the race that they had here finishing sixth back in June, they could have a good solid day today.
Here comes Ryan Newman again. And that will be seventh spot on Kevin Harvick. So he may not have started up front, but he's working his way toward it.
Yeah, we've seen this race team really become better as the season has continued on. They found speed in their race cars. They're doing the right thing with their pit calls. So Ryan Newman solidly inside that top 10 now with a victory also to their credit.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, New Hampshire finished 1 and 2. Stuart Haas did, and then
spin off turn number 3. It is Kyle Busch spinning from sixth position. And the caution's out.
Okay, 4 tires at fuel.
Doesn't appear he has any damage, at least from that shot.
He's got some flat tires, so he'll have to go immediately to his pits. Have to start at the tail end of the longest line, but can't take a chance going around 2.5 miles and tearing up some fenders here.
Technically, he was on pit road before it closed, wasn't he?
Yeah. See, he's dropped down. Yeah, it's
loose.
Yeah, it can happen to the best.
Let's see if he makes a commitment come. Yeah, I believe he made it.
So you're saying he shouldn't have to go to the rear?
No, he made it. He's on pit road before the caution came out. A little unorthodox, but he's there.
Fortunately for Kyle, he'll be able to stop, get those 4 tires, get back on the racetrack without losing a lap. Unfortunately for Kyle, he was on pit road while it was...
I don't know. I'm breaking it loose on my own. That's why I spun out,
closed. And so
they got him on a technicality.
He's going to be way at the back of the line for the restart. Before they come to pit road, let's check in on the leader, Doc.
Guys, Joey Logano was talking about what was happening the last couple of weeks in silly season. You know, when I talked to the crew chief, Greg Zippodelli, I said, you know, what difference did all this make for your team, thinking that possibly Carl Edwards may come here? Rumors about Joey not being in a car, about Home Depot. He said, you know, we can't control any of that, but what it has done, it's made our driver, Joey, much more aggressive and stepping up. For example, he had never qualified in the top 10 here. He started on the pole today. He had never led a lap here. He has led 10 laps so far, and he said he's just a different driver than he was a few weeks ago when all these rumors started. Alan?
A lot of pressure on a lot of drivers in the field right now looking ahead toward next year. We'll talk lots more about that as these coming weeks and the rest of this day go by. Pit crew's about to get to work. Time for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. The fastest pit crew determined by the winner of each race, the fastest pit time. And you, the fans, vote. Be sure to text the car number you think to 234-567 for your pit crew choice.
All right,
Time to go. Pit crew's getting loosened up. What kind of, we're going to see some two-tire stops from guys a little bit back in the pack here, Andy?
Oh, absolutely. Only 13 laps so far. Get a little gas, get a couple tires, and try to steal some track position. Some of these leaders might take 4. There'll be some two tires also.
All right, Vince, here's Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson has this very first pit stall as you see it in the quad box. Johnson up in the upper left-hand corner. He says it's a little free into 1 and a little tight on the throttle, 1 and 3. It's a two-tire stop. Jamie.
Casey Kane, bottom left, says he started off free, a little tight, lost a few positions on the track. Right side air pressure wedge and right sides only, Dave.
Kurt Busch, upper right, gives up 3rd place, takes 2 tires, almost missed his pit box slide again. Doc?
Right sides only for leader Joey Logano, half around down the track bar, and Joey Logano beats everybody by a long margin off of pit road.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, presented today by the Sprint Summer Showdown. Back for the restart. The 2 cars that did not pit were Casey Mears and Scott Speed. They have pulled down and gone to the back of the field to let the guys that had been the previous leaders charge ahead at the restart. And they're pitting now as we go back green. 3 wide, Denny Hamlin.
Oh, see a big wiggle from Carl Edwards right there. These restarts are just so incredible inside the cockpit of these race cars. You don't have enough eyes and feel to have a good feel for everything that's going on around you. There's cars coming at such a great speed, getting a big draft. As we see pass for the lead right here. Nobody was able to get close to Joey Logano in that first segment. Here comes Kurt Busch.
Little slide job there.
Yeah, you see about 4 different lines through turn 3.
So lead change, Kurt Busch to the front, Logano, Hamlin, then a gap back to Newman. Kyle Busch did have to restart at the end of the line after pitting too soon under the caution flag. He's trying to make a charge forward. Here's Denny Hamlin for second place. I'll let you have that corner there rather than go side by side into the tunnel turn.
Yeah, at this point in the race, there is a lot of give and take. I mean, at one bottom, you see, wow, just Truex getting loose off that one.
Brad Keselowski in the 2.
Dale Jr. up on the high side there, trying to follow Brad around.
You see Dale Jr. move over. How much of this drafting pull do you get on this straightaway there?
Yeah, quite a bit. You can make a lot of things happen. You can see drivers trying to get away from each other.
Sorry to jump.
Greg Biffle, a little problem.
Yeah, look, got a fender road there.
See some smoke.
Yeah, some contact on that restart, and maybe got a little left front tire rub there, possibly.
See, it's a light haze of smoke coming off that 16 car.
Might have us an answer here. Look back in the distance. Oh, clunk right there. Teammates.
See, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'll tell you, that's definitely hard.
Both getting into the wall a little bit.
Oh, and David Reagan. And another caution's out. Oh, my goodness. Hang on.
Got plant top fired up as it'll roll. Got rear damage, rear damage.
Yeah, a lot of rear damage.
That's not a good place to be sitting sideways across the racetrack.
Not a good place to be sitting, and he was in the battle for...
Need 4 tires, just backed it straight back into the wall.
Well, they got a lot of damage to fix here. This is not going to be a quick fix.
Yeah, he has that win from Daytona that had him in contention for a chase spot, but this is going to severely hamper that.
You see the car being pushed on pit road. That is Brian Vickers' car being pushed toward the opening of the garage. We'll follow up and get you an explanation on that in a second. Casey Mears got a pass-through penalty. Told you he made a pit stop as the field was taking the green. He got a pass-through penalty for a pit road violation and had to come back. Now let's see what happened to David Reagan.
Right, just a little aggressive underneath Ruderman. Getting into the bumps. He's the one that paid the price, though.
Yeah, and that's you know that that's down there, and that's a price. At this point in time of the race, these guys are already 2 wide, making it 3 wide there. It looked like David Ruderman had no idea he was there.
Now, look, we were just talking about give and take early in the race, but that was a lot of taking from Reagan.
So one of the guys in that bubble picture for the championship that we have talked about on Countdown and before the race, losing a chunk of points here today.
And this is the point of the chase that it really does matter how many points you have, because he does have that win. He needs to be ahead of the guys in points that have that one win to be guaranteed in this.
Yeah, and they'll be in a position now that pretty much the only way they're going to get back into that chase is to get that second victory that Brad and Rusty were talking about in the Countdown show.
David Reagan came into the day 16th in points and had that one win. But now he's going to slide further back and in jeopardy of falling out of the top 20. And, of course, if you're not in that top 20 in points, the wild card doesn't help you. While the pace car gathers up the field and we come around to see what kind of strategy might be played out this time, remind you that ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball tonight features the fight for the lead in the American League East. We go to Fenway at 8 Eastern as Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on Dustin Pedroia and the Red Sox. Then on Monday Night Baseball, it's Adrian Gonzalez and the Red Sox heading to Minnesota to face Joe Mauer and the Twins at 7 Eastern. That game available on ESPN in the Minnesota area. Major League Baseball on ESPN tonight and tomorrow night.
The Red Sox took it to my Yankees yesterday, didn't they?
Rubber game tonight.
Yep.
Andy, we were talking strategy before the last caution. You saw what everyone did. Now what are we going to see?
Well, we saw the leaders all take 2 tires, knowing that the guys in the back probably would try to steal track position by taking 2. So they took 2, and that's really an opportunity now for those back half guys. When they saw that happening, they could take 4 tires to set them up for later to put them in a better advantage. So, what the trick is if you're not one of the leaders, is to do what the leaders don't do. We see that happening right now.
Yeah,
some
Biffle with that damage is going to have to work on that. But these other guys are thinking just like you, Andy. Try to do something a little different, get off sequence here.
Greg Biffle in 16th position was the first one to break for pit road. Vince?
The 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya just fighting tight in the middle. They took 2 the first time and made a track bar adjustment. They're going to take 4 tires this time around, Dave.
The 16 of Greg Biffle. They're going to check that damage on the left front. They're really talking about just pulling the fender out a little bit. There they go. And they're going to change 4 tires. Going to take a small sledgehammer in there. Make sure they get that aerodynamic front left fender roll just back where it needs to be, Alan.
All right, Dave, thanks. So the defending winner of this race, Greg Biffle, with some work to be done and now some track position to be made up after that contact we saw him have with Matt Kenseth off turn 3 a couple of laps before the yellow.
We gotta go. Go. Come on, go. We're gonna get caught up. It's 1 to go. Come to the green here.
Can you get that fender shape just back right with a hammer, Andy?
Well, you got to be pretty good with it. Looks like they got it pretty good, though.
All right, the field has been given the one to go. They're doubled up with half a lap before the restart, so the Biff has got some ground to make up here to catch up to the pack. Kurt Busch is the race leader at the moment, the third different driver to lead this race. If Kurt can hang on to that lead and be the one at the checkered flag out in front, he would qualify for the Sprint Summer Showdown. If he can go on to win at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Kurt, his designated charity, and perhaps you, if you've entered, could win $1 million apiece. Go to sprint.com/speed, check it out, and really neat little twist of plot to the summer months for all these drivers and for fans.
It has them talking about it, but it's not for the drivers' monetary fact that they would win $1 million. It's for that charity and a fan having that opportunity. They'll take the money, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'd drive a little harder for $1 million. I don't know about you.
Got a long way to go till we see who wins today. Denny Hamlin trying Kurt Busch for the lead, while the pack fans out in typical Pocono Turn 1 fashion after a restart. Greg Biffle going to get a penalty for changing lanes before the start-finish line on the restart. So that'll add some insult to the early body injury on the car.
That's one thing that NASCAR has been very strict on. Because you cannot change lanes before you cross the start-finish line.
Yeah, the only decent thing here is that he will not lose a lap because of this, so he can get a break with the caution somewhere down the way. It's just going to make it a very long day for this 16 team.
So you see Greg heading to pit road for the pass-through penalty. And we take a look at what got him the violation. Look at the back of the screen.
And he just caught up to the field coming out of the pits, working on that left front fender. And right there, that's a no-no. He knows it.
It's just a few feet too soon.
That's just a, sometimes that's just a lapse in concentration, and it just kind of lulls you in there.
Yeah, he was thinking they were in a hurry to get out of the pits after they fixed their car coming up. I'm sure it was something that wasn't on his mind at all at that point in time.
Guys with really good records here in Pocono. Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin racing for the lead. Hamlin digging for the bottom of turn 3. That's something that used to be the way to go around this racetrack. Went away for a while due to, as I mentioned earlier, a little patch they had to put of fresh pavement high on the racetrack. Now we're starting to see that inside lane be something drivers are trying more and more. How about the 11 car, Doc?
Yeah, trying to move in on Kurt Busch and take the lead for the first time today. But Denny, in that previous pit stop on lap 13, had a bit of apologizing to do because of a miscommunication, miscue here in the pits. Listen in.
You're not full of fuel. Sorry. I thought when he said on me, and he said on me, I thought that meant go. That's my fault. Figure out what we got here. We're not fuel full. These guys can't be full.
Well, Denny Hamlin has the lead right now here at Pocono for the first time today. He's led the most laps in 3 of the last 4 events here. But your radio you heard a moment ago indicates he's about 2 gallons short of a full fuel tank on that previous stop. Guys?
Well, that may or may not make any difference. I mean, right now, he's a little bit lighter than the rest of them. He's out front. But we'll see if that makes a difference. It depends on how these cautions fly and how the strategy works out.
So Hamlin has gone by Kurt Busch for the lead. Here's Joey Logano, the leader of the opening run of the race, going up to 3rd position by Ryan Newman.
See Junior getting really loose off the corner.
And Kyle Busch trying to dig out from that penalty earlier.
Yeah, he did. He made that pit stop kind of unorthodox. I thought he made the commitment cone before the pit road was closed, but he did get penalized, and he had to make his way all the way from the back. Done a good job.
NASCAR said they checked both the loop data and the video camera they have to check the did you make it or not at pit road entry.
Had to be close.
They double checked and he was not good.
Yeah, because of the people that pitted the last time he stayed out, he's back up to 10th spot already.
All right, said Brian Vickers' car was being pushed to the garage. Jamie, what happened?
He is back here. He's talked to his crew chief, TRD engineers back there. Brian, what are they saying?
I don't know all the details of what exactly happened, but we definitely lost the motor. Just about a lap or so after the restart, it started to lose power, and then I just brought it to pit road, and it was still running. But again, I don't want to speculate on what's wrong, but it was engine internal.
One team that was desperate to get a good finish. One driver not sure where he's going to be next year. Alan.
Vickers in the garage along with David Reagan, David Stremme, Scott Speed, Joe Nemechek, Eric Darnell, J.J. Yaley off the track at this point. Series at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, presented by the Sprint Summer Showdown. We are pretty early on in the going, 30 of 200 laps complete, and Denny Hamlin is the race leader. And still got a lot more motorsports coverage on the ESPN networks later on today. 7 Eastern time, it's the NHRA Northwest Nationals Finals, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. That's ESPN2, followed by the American Le Mans Series Mid-Ohio Sports Car Challenge. That's at 10 Eastern time tonight. NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable. Our pit reporters roundtable is tomorrow at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And then it's on to the road course at Watkins Glen for the Nationwide Series Saturday and the Sprint Cup Series Sunday. Our Sprint Cup race presented by GoDaddy.com. That begins next Sunday at noon Eastern. So Denny Hamlin leads Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, and then a pretty good race for 4th position between Ryan Newman and Carl Edwards. Newman 39 and Edwards 99.
Yeah, both these drivers have a strong car here today. In fact, they're both just a little bit off as far as the exit of the corner speed that they've been able to see. That's where they look like they're struggling a little bit getting all the way back to the throttle.
Back racing from the second caution came out a little while ago for David Reagan incident up in turn 3, Jamie.
And he's one of those drivers vying for that wild card for the chase with 16th in the points coming in, but you're within that top 20 with a win. But now it went wrong. You guys are in the garage. What happened, David?
Yeah, you know, I was being aggressive with our UPS Ford. On these restarts, you really have about 7 to 10 laps where you can pass. Once you run 10 or 15 laps, you get spread out and it's tough. So I drove down to the bottom of turn 3. The 00 I thought was going to stay up a little bit higher. I ran out of room and I was forced to keep it low and just spun. So, you know, probably something that I typically wouldn't do at other racetracks, driving so hard. But yeah, disappointing for our UPS team. They've worked hard. We didn't have the greatest car today, but we had a car that maybe could have got a top 15. So we'll get it back straight, try to make a few laps, pass some of these other cars that are dropping out, but still got a lot of races left before the chase is covered.
You heard it, taking some risks, driving like they normally wouldn't, putting it all on the line to try to make that chase, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Jamie McMurray, one of the guys, the few that pitted under that last caution. And Andy and DJ, he is really making up some ground here in this one car.
Well, it just shows you what tires are worth. He's got about 6 or 7 lap fresher tires. Made that pit stop. He's making the most of it.
So McMurray charging forward up to 13th position here as he picks his way forward after, like you said before, doing something different than everybody else was doing on strategy. There's Denny Hamlin, the race leader. And 1.5 seconds behind him is Kurt Busch in the 22 car. There's Kurt running in second. Dave, what are they saying?
Now the latest in the 22 camp is that Kurt's just a little bit on the loose side, but that's a really good thing because crew chief Steve Addington told me that when they came here, they ran the same setup that got Kurt the pole, let him lead 37 laps and finish second here in June. That setup was just too tight this weekend, so they've been fighting the car that won't turn all weekend. Now it's a little bit turny, and that's good.
And he's getting a little bit of sun for the first time today on this racetrack, so it's going to heat up. You have to do just a little bit of adjustment, but so far everything looks pretty good for Kurt Busch. Watch him inside here as he goes down this long front straightaway. Goes back to high gear.
Gets his high gear well before the start-finish line. So watch him get down in this corner. It's really hard braking, getting down in that corner.
While we watch Carl Edwards take 4th place away from Ryan Newman. So Edwards another spot farther forward.
And you see right behind there, Kyle Busch taking over that 6th spot. So he's back like he never even spun out.
Determined.
Yeah, you think, yeah, for sure. Jeff Burton having a good day, though, running there in 7th right now.
Well, you got to find the limit of that race car at some point. He found it early on, didn't hurt anything.
Somebody's got a good race car. Actually, 2 guys with good race cars. These 2 right here, Dale Jr. and Brad Keselowski.
I'm impressed with Brad so far today with that hurt foot that he has and driving as hard as he is. And this, like I said, this is very hard braking at this track. If he's using that left foot and ankle to do that, it's got to be kind of hard on him, I would think.
And for Junior, he started in 19th position, and he's up to 8th. Not too bad in the early going. It is still early, though.
Welcome back to Pocono Raceway, where the action so far has been, well, early and often already today. Kyle Busch got into a little bit of an issue, but he is back up to 6th place on the track. Not a good day to be a guy contending for a spot in NASCAR's postseason. David Reagan also having issues, but the leader right now is Denny Hamlin. He leads Kurt Busch and Joey Logano are pole sitter, but it was a milestone for Denny Hamlin. Has now led 5,000 laps in his career.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin, like I said at the beginning of the year, Nicole, we expected this young man to be in the middle of a championship hunt. Got off to a slow start, but this is a place he's had a lot of success. They could be laying some seeds, Rusty, for this chase right here.
Well, Brad, you're getting ready to pit right now. Here he comes, early green flag pit stop. Doc, what you got down there?
It'll be 4 tires and fuel, 4,600 RPMs, 55 miles an hour. This is a scheduled stop. Remember, they pitted on lap 13. And also remember, Denny Hamlin left with about 2 gallons fewer than what he needed to have in the tank. So now coming down with about a lap early, it will make a 4-tire change. They said the car is really good. Minor chassis adjustment, a little bit free in. Right in front of Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman coming in now. So leaders will be pitting here in the next 2 laps. Left side tire going on. Hamlin is down and away.
Interesting to me, I expected Hamlin to stop a little short because he was a couple gallons shy on fuel, but he brought a lot of people with him.
Yeah, we've seen this happening a lot this year. The leader pits because of whatever, but it brings everybody in. They don't want the leader out there on fresh tires getting more time on them, so they hit pit road just right after the leader does, and they get their tires. So, you know, it really doesn't matter if it keeps you in a window, as long as you don't get outside of a window, possibly to the end.
More green flag pit stops. Dave, it's Kurt Busch.
Alan, he'd like 4 tires this time in the 22 car. It's still a little bit on the loose side, as they were saying. Kurt's crew going to go to work and give him the 4 tires and send him back out. Doc?
Joey Logano coming down pit road to make his 2nd stop of the day, and the pole sitter coming in. Left side tire going on Logano's car. He said the adjustments early on were perfect. The car was freed up and now turning much better in 1.
Carl Edwards takes over the lead as you see Jeff Gordon heading back out onto the racetrack. Has he scuffed up that right side paint again that they spent all that time fixing this morning from into the wall and qualifying?
Could have, because he's really struggled today with the loose race car so far.
And here is Edwards in from the lead. Be interesting to see what kind of time exchange there is here by him being out 2 more laps than Hamlin was.
Well, there's 4 seconds a lap difference between the fastest lap of the race and what they were running right before they pitted. Doc?
Carl Edwards coming in. He said, the car just loose off of all 3 turns. You can't get a lot of grip coming off of 1. The tunnel turn and getting out of 3 which really hurts him. Minor chassis adjustment, air pressure adjustment. Left side tire going on. Lug nuts on. Clean the grill. Carl's away.
Great stop by the 99 team.
Dave Blaney in for a stop. And the race leader, as the cycle of stops continues, is Bobby Labonte.
Brad Daugherty will only let him get fuel every so often because it's so expensive. So.
Well, he's only run 21 laps since he last pitted. He pitted under one of those caution periods. But he can run a little bit longer.
Back to that, do something the opposite of what everybody else is.
Get yourself on a different strategy.
Yep, here he comes. I guess they told him the gas was free. Come on.
4 tires here. 4 tires of fuel.
So as Labonte pits, Landon Castle is the leader. And here is Labonte in, Doc.
Yeah, the 3-time Pocono winner and former Cup Series champion Bobby Labonte said the car extremely loose up off the corners. They're going to get 4 tires on it, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Left side tires going on, chassis adjustment, air pressure. Bobby loose off and loose in. He is away.
So there's your leader, Landon Castle.
Yeah, they found themselves up in the mix by being off sequence a little bit. They did the same thing in the Indy last week and got up front a few times, but Landon Castle doing a nice job in this car.
Now check out, there's Denny Hamlin, who's up to second in the cycle of stops, and now going to take the lead is Castle Pitts. Where's Kurt Busch?
There he comes, off turn 3.
Wow.
It's like Denny did a little better job getting in and off of pit road, and pit crew doing their job.
It was 2.3 seconds before the stops. 5.7 now. Looking back at Brad Keselowski in that 2-car. Remember the show and tell we did on NASCAR Countdown about the injuries to his feet from the testing crash at Road Atlanta this week, and the fact that he was going to stick with the left foot braking. Well, watch this.
Oh, he comes in hot. Goes over the line, has to back up. Does a pretty good job reacting, though.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of it. Maybe not having the feel there that he needed, and maybe getting that brake applied soon enough.
So the pit stops have cycled through. Keselowski there racing Harvick for 13th, while Denny Hamlin has reassumed the #1 spot. Pit crews just finished a round of work. An update on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Paul Menard's team looking good so far today, but you can help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 234-567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. Denny Hamlin out in front of Kurt Busch by 5.3 seconds. Remember, I said it was 2.3 before the pit stops and 5.7 afterwards. That'll show you why.
Pit crew definitely doing the job.
Yeah, I was trying to give the driver all the credit.
Imagine
he did good, too.
He did pretty good, yeah.
And there is the gap from first back to second. From Kurt Busch's pit, Dave Burns.
Now, remember earlier today, I told you the 22 didn't have the winning setup that they had in June when they finished second. It didn't work for him. So I asked crew chief Steve Addington this morning, did you make any changes? He said, pretty much wholesale. I said, well, what'd you go to? We went to our teammate. I said, the guy with the broken left foot, you went to his setup? Yeah, Brad Keselowski's setup, and in fact that he was driving as hard as he has been this weekend, really allowed them to get a good read on a good setup. And so they put that all on 22, and Kurt, even yesterday after qualifying, gave the two credit for being aggressive this weekend and helping them as teammates get it right for Penske. Jamie?
And you see Brad Keselowski on the right side of your screen. I talked to Paul Wolf, his crew chief, this morning, and I said, did you guys do anything inside the car for comfort? He said, no, Brad didn't want us to do anything. He has a brace on his left ankle. Now I asked Brad, is there any point, any way you're going to need a relief driver? And he says, no, nobody's getting in my dang car. Well, you see on the left-hand side, Sam Hornish Jr. is here. He is ready to go just in case Brad Keselowski feels like he can't go through with the whole race. But guys, I know he's got a hard head. He's not getting out of that race car.
He certainly took a hard hit, but he's doing a great job today. Keselowski running an 11th spot in that 2-car.
Talk about Sam Hornish showing him that. Boy, what a great job he did in that 22 car last night until they blew a right front tire.
Yeah.
Led a lot of laps, had it up front.
In the NASCAR Nationwide race out in Iowa. Casey Kane started second. You're looking at a guy that's running 18th right now.
We saw a little bit of this last week whenever they had to start making pit stops. They jumped out and led the first portion of that race at Indy, and then it seemed like every pit stop they lost a little more track position, but obviously this car is just not to Casey's liking right now.
And 2 spots behind him on the racetrack is Jeff Gordon. I mentioned a minute ago when we caught a glimpse of Gordon making the green flag pit stop that he had the incident in qualifying where he got up against the wall. They made the repairs yesterday afternoon and this morning. Basically all the sheet metal from that #2 back to the back right rear corner of the car, and the deck lid and spoiler had to be repaired. And Jamie Gordon right now is in 20th position. What are they saying?
The good news is he is moving forward. Jeff Gordon's gained 11 positions, but as we documented, he started out extremely loose. They made some changes on the first round of stops, and then Jeff came on the radio and said, now we're tight everywhere. So that last round of stops, they made an air pressure adjustment and took 4 tires there. So Jeff just settling in to see if the car is indeed getting any better.
Here's a car on the move, too. That 88 car's been strong so far today. Moving up in the top 10 now.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving up. And can I take back what I said about Gordon maybe having scraped up that paint? Closer look at it. This little detailing white stripe there. under the sponsor logo that goes down the back of the car, I feel great shame.
See, Dale Jr., we shifted on the short straightaway. Actually, the shorter of the three. Not the shortest. This is the tunnel turn. And you can see just how rough that track is there.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with Junior on Friday. He was telling me just what you said there, Andy, how difficult that is across the tunnel, how rough it is. And he was talking about how difficult it is to shift across that tunnel, too. We see him doing it. Probably not something he enjoys. I never did like it, but something he has to do to get the speed out of his car.
Yeah, one thing I see there in his shifting technique, he's leaving it in third gear from the tunnel turn all the way around turn 3. You see just now catching high gear on the front stretch. Look at the RPM. You see how the RPMs are going all the way up to 9,500.
Now, if you're new to NASCAR, normally on an oval track, driver goes up through the gears on a restart, puts it in fourth gear, leaves it there. Here at Pocono, because of the different length straightaways, teams figured out some years back that they could gear their transmissions to kind of have an overdrive. Well, NASCAR outlawed the overdrive because teams were going to some rather extensive lengths with it. But teams have found their way back to a shifting scenario, and NASCAR actually opened up the rules a little bit in the transmissions for this race to take some of the strain mechanically and put it in a better light.
Yeah, when they came up with the gear rule to keep from turning these engines over 10,000 RPMs, they did kind of institute a rule that had a spread between third and fourth gear, which discouraged shifting. And when they found out that teams were doing it anyway, they made a change where they said, okay, we'll let you do it now.
The Busch brothers, and particularly Kyle in that 18. Just joining us, Kyle had a spin while running 6th at lap 12. Had a penalty for pitting too soon after that spin. Went all the way to the back of the pack. He's trying to take second from his brother.
I don't know if that made him mad or more determined, but whatever it is, he's got this 18 car on the move. Got his brother hanging it out, too, trying to keep him back there. So the 22 get a little loose off that exit of turn 2.
And I don't know what kind of notes they're sharing, but we got a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota first. Got one about to be second, and the other one, Joey Logano, is 5th. How about that 18 car, Dave?
Doing very well, obviously, Alan. I talked to crew chief Dave Rogers this morning about Kyle on this track and the fact that transmissions have been a problem in the past. I said, you know, Kyle drives pretty aggressively, as you see him right now, trying to hold that bottom line over Big Brother. He's going to do it. And he said, you know what, even though Kyle is aggressive, he treats the equipment extremely sensitively. He goes through the gears well in the restarts. I really don't have any concerns at all about him and transmissions. And Alan, it's one of the reasons why the 18 is so good here.
He's certainly been good today. He just took second spot away from his brother. He's 5.4 seconds behind his teammate Denny Hamlin, who's in the lead. 1/4 distance complete at Pocono, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, today presented by Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. 3 corners, 3 different length straightaways. Very much a demanding race and racetrack on drivers of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup now. Front runners today, Denny Hamlin has been out in front for the most laps in this race. The all-time lap leader in a race here is Kurt Busch. And for more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Those two happen to be first and third positions at the moment, Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch. Kyle Busch in between them, talking about the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, 5-time consecutive champion, and in the hunt very much to try and chase down a 6th one. Jimmy running in 7th position today, Vince.
11 spots, Alan, up 11 spots. How you help your car, when and where you shift. He was just discussing it with Chad Knaus.
Are you shifting? Yeah, I've been. I just tried this last time when I was shooting for the tunnel. I think there's only a couple of cars ahead of you right now that are shifting.
Certainly one of the favorite tracks for both Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. They have had good pit stops so far, and they've been good on the track, Alan.
I love this view.
Yeah, I do too. You can really see what the driver's doing. See that he is shifting. Downshift now in turn 1.
The shifting becomes more important now that they get some laps on the tires. Their lap times have have come down some, so they really need that extra gear that they can get and that extra RPM up off of these corners.
Figuring we're going to see these leaders back on pit road before too many more laps go by, so we're going to take a break here, come back and cover that action. Denny Hamlin, your leader at Pocono. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Seeing some green flag pit stops now, and that's trouble for Jamie McMurray. Greg Biffle is in. Dave?
And Allen on that 16 car, sliding the nose back. It was very loose. He was running 25th. Remember, he's been down. Take a rubber into the left rear, down on the track bar. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson is in. They've liked how their car has been adjusting to the changes they've made. It's a 4-tire change. They also made a chassis adjustment for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Now, the 33 of Clint Boyer. Boyer's been sick, not feeling well at all, and his car's been a little bit of a handful, too. Still lacking rear grip, 4 tires at air pressure. Jamie.
And the 2 of Brad Keselowski in. They told him stop shifting. He was shifting too much. He hit his marks this time on pit road. 4 tires. He's doing okay back there with his broken left ankle. Dave.
Tony Stewart is on pit road. Need better turn in the center of the corner. Don't hurt my drive off. That was a call from the driver.
And Denny Hamlin, the race leader, brings Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards on pit road with him. Here's Hamlin to his stop. Doc?
And Denny Hamlin said the car is good, but I don't have any right rear tire to lean on, particularly getting up off of turn 3, which is so critical. It'll be 4 tires, a half around. You saw it only go out of the right rear. Left side tires going on. You got to get it full of fuel. 99 car in, Carl Edwards in. Left side tires on it. He's down and away. Just a little bit free air pressure adjustment for Carl on this stop.
And Casey Kane's struggling with this race car. He said it is just loose. It won't turn on the front end. They're going to take 4 tires, put a packer in, right rear wedge adjustment. He's down and away. Good stop for these guys. They need to get this car going in the right direction where he started. Alan?
Joey Logano took the lead when Denny Hamlin pitted. Now here's Logano, the orange car, coming down pit road for his stop. That leaves A.J. Allmendinger as the last car on the track before the cycle of stops is complete. Logano starting on the pole today. Here he is, Doc.
You know, Alan, he had commented about the car being loose on the initial run. They were loose in and loose off. They made a major wedge adjustment on the previous stop, and now he says the car is tight in the center of all 3 corners. They made the chassis adjustment. Left side tires, got to get it full of Sunoco fuel. Windshield tear off, clean the grill. Great pit stop for the Home Depot guys. Jamie.
A.J. Allmendinger there in the 43. Of course, 4 stops is the call. The jack goes on the right side. No wedge. You see him there wiping the front windshield there. No adjustments. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel as they work around the left side for A.J. Allmendinger, looking to try to rebound from last week, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. So that's going to complete this cycle of green flag pit stops. That's David Gilliland following Allmendinger off the pit lane. And everyone will have topped it off.
Yeah, and I'd have to say that maybe Kyle Busch might have gained a lot. Denny Hamlin had a car beside him as he came into his pits. He had to slow down a little bit, and then he had to drive out and around Ryan Newman as he came in. So probably a perfect chance for Kyle Busch to gain a little bit on that exchange.
You see from that shot, Kyle Busch has gained on Denny Hamlin.
I'll tell you the numbers. It was a 3.38 second lead. As they went to pit road, it's 1.62 now. So for Kyle's bunch, they love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, they're going to make Denny work a little harder today. He's been out front and having it too easy. He might have lost a little bit of that right there as he got forced up a little higher in turn 1 than he wanted to be.
But there's the gap, first to second. Joe Gibbs Racing teammates Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch out in front as we're just through a round of green flag pit stops at Pocono. Our coverage today presented by the Sprint Summer Showdown.
Denny Hamlin has led more than 40 laps in this one. He needs this.
He does need it. He's looking really good right now. You know, we've been talking a lot about these guys shifting. There's a lot of guys shifting, and there's a lot of them not shifting. Denny Hamlin is one of the guys that has not been shifting whatsoever. Now he's going to try it a little bit. Most of the race, he hasn't been touching anything at all. And they just gave him some information about where he can shift and where he cannot shift. work and improve the car. But most all day long, we watched Denny not shift and have the fastest lap times. So he's kind of shaking it up a little bit, Brad, trying to see what he needs to do to get the thing back in the hunt. Right now, he's only 5 points out of the top 10 position.
Yeah, he's out front, Rusty, and he's got all that clean air on the front of that race car. He doesn't really need to shift simply because he can keep the car wound up, set his own pace. You'll see him shift more, though, once the traffic catches up to him.
And for more on the toll that shifting can possibly take on the car, let's go to Tim Brewer, who's in the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Thanks, Nicole. 2 things you've got to have to win races. That's a lot of horsepower, and I've always liked a lot of gear. But Denny Hamlin, he's sitting out there right now. Before, the tires were hot. Everybody was trying to catch him. He was in high gear, saving fuel, saving his engine. But right now, when he started shifting, putting it up in 3rd gear, accelerating off those corners, he's just wearing those guys' stuff out behind him. I'm telling you, he's sitting there playing cat and mouse with these guys right now.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Tim, because Denny Hamlin has already won here just a few times. He has a plan. Listen to this.
You know, whether you choose to shift or not kind of depends on where you're at on the racetrack. Usually my particular strategy is if I'm out front, kind of cruising and things like that, I don't like to shift it. You know, I feel like it uses equipment up. But a lot of times when you're in traffic trying to pass a guy, you pretty much have to use it to make those passes.
And we are on top of the pit box with Mike Ford, who's calling the race for Denny Hamlin. Mike, we're just showing the fact that Denny is not doing a lot of shifting. Is that by design to be easy on the engine or fuel? Is that just his choice?
Can't hear what you're saying down here. It's pretty loud. But, you know, FedEx Toyota's doing real good. Looks like a good day for Gibbs. I know Denny's taking care of his car. He's shifting some, not shifting some. Just trying to take care of it for the end. You know, a little bit of weather coming here and there. It's going to be difficult to call.
How does the weather impact your strategy? You said you were concerned about different strategies if the weather were threatening.
Yeah, it depends on what happens. You know, you can look at the radar, but here at Pocono, you've got the mountain, and a lot of the weather builds off the top of the mountain. So even though something's coming, it could break up or it could build. So very difficult to call.
Okay, Mike Ford here, and a lot of concern here about what you do if the weather does move in. Dave.
Doc, the 18 team started with a tight race car and then a spin. Dave, how did this team hold it together?
Well, this episode of the game race has been fast all weekend, and we were just a little bit tight earlier. Kyle was trying to make something out of it, and he spun it out. Got a little bit behind, but this car's been so fast, Kyle's been able to make it back up for us. So it's early in the race. We're really excited about what's going on right now.
How are you playing the weather right now?
What's that?
How are you playing the weather?
I don't know. The weather is what it is. You know, we're watching radar, but we can't control the rain. We can just control what we can control.
All right, so far that's been keeping the 18 in the race, Nicole, and having a fast 18 car.
Well, Denny Hamlin, one of the drivers that is looking to secure his spot in the postseason. Right now, he's 11th in points. And keep in mind, he has 1 win earlier this season. That was at Michigan. We talked earlier in Countdown. 2 wins could very much make him postseason safe. Right now, it's Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, your top 3.
Pocono Raceway, Pennsylvania, the 3-cornered racetrack where Kyle Busch went for a spin in turn 3, went to the back of the pack, and then has charged his way toward the front. You can hear the bugle music playing. Here I come. He's all the way up to 2nd spot now, passing his brother Kurt Busch a little while back. Now he is chasing down his teammate Denny Hamlin for the lead. Hamlin out in front as we are just shy of halfway. Joey Logano, the leader in the early part of the race. Denny has led the most laps, though. Couple of caution flags, couple of rounds of green flag pit stops, and Carl Edwards has just taken over 3rd spot from Kurt Busch, your championship leader, also making his way toward the front. There's the race for the lead. Now the other thing. Kyle Busch looking for a bonus point for the championship there.
Yeah, it'd be a great opportunity for the teammates to swap right now because they do have a big lead. I don't know if Denny's biting, though.
Denny's radio may not be working at all.
Now, you saw on that little camera pan there, a drop of moisture. There are some showers in the area. You heard the interview earlier with Mike Ford, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, talking about where we are in this pocket of the Pocono Mountains. Sometimes things break up when they hit the hills, and sometimes they intensify. That's what the radar looks like. So there's been stuff kind of coming at us for a while. And the importance of that, Andy, is as the race hits its halfway point, if weather intervenes and NASCAR can't resume the race in the available daylight, whoever's out front might sneak themselves into that sprint summer showdown and steal a win here today.
Yeah, that's why you saw some of the crew chiefs not really concerned about the weather at this point, because it's still not halfway. They just got to make their race car fast and try to go as good as they can. Now, have that same conversation with them after the halfway, and you'll hear a little different answer, I think. Just because they want to get in that showdown, too. $1 million is a lot of money for these teams to win.
You only get in if you win.
Yeah, Dale, you've been involved in a $1 million deal where a fan won $1 million also.
Yeah, we did that at Talladega. I believe it was back in 1998. And what a thrill. I still have contact with those people, see them around at some races. They're huge race fans. And that was the biggest thrill, to know that you made a difference in people's lives like that. Robbie Yates enjoyed the money, too.
That was the spotter for Kyle Busch, Eddie DeHaan, saying when you get a little closer to Denny, Crew Chief Mike Ford will ask Denny to let you pick up that bonus point for leading. Didn't say what the answer was going to be.
Said he would ask.
Said he would ask.
Yeah, Kyle got to his bumper a while ago, and just as we went to commercial, he got a little bit loose off of turn one and lost some momentum there, and Denny was able to stretch it back out a little bit.
Like Brewer said, oh, look at that. It's a little bit tight underneath Bobby Labonte. Brewer said it might be playing a little cat and mouse. Denny might be. And that's kind of what it looked like. It looked like Kyle got right to the bumper, and then Denny said, okay, well, I'll show you what I have, and go pull out a little bit.
So there are the top two, Hamlin and Kyle Busch. 6 seconds behind them is third place Carl Edwards. Waiting. Oh, there he is. They have gapped Carl pretty big. Carl, in turn, has put a pretty good gap on fourth place Kurt Busch since he passed him just a couple of laps ago. And there is the Double Deuce running in fourth place. Pole sitter Joey Logano runs in fifth. Let's take you up to speed, starting with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Alvin, he's about 8.5 seconds back behind his teammate, the leader, Denny Hamlin. And Joey Logano, a couple weeks ago, went to Road Atlanta and tested with Max Pappas. That same weekend, he went to Infineon, set on the pole, and finished 6th. Right side of your screen, you see the two Joe Gibbs teammates of Logano getting ready to battle for the lead. Now, this past week, Joey Logano went back to Road Atlanta, tested with Max Pappas, came here, and set on the pole again. And meanwhile, by the way, Kyle Busch does sail by Denny Hamlin to take the lead. So it's all about confidence. Joey Logano, the younger member of this three-car team, getting confidence, and it helps him on the weekend in qualifying.
Jimmy Johnson in that 48 running in 6th. You remember in the pre-race interview, Jimmy talked about balancing the transmission and engine care with shifting and how that was going to benefit you. Here's some insight from Jimmy in his car radio with Chad Knaus.
But if you're loose off there, you could not shift off of turn 3, and that'll help your forward fight. Biggest penalty for not shifting is turn 1. Second biggest is turn 3. Turn 2 is the lead penalty.
Jimmy Johnson's really been putting together some good laps, and his car's been much better and has reacted positively since they've gone to 4 tires as compared to that 2-tire change. Doc?
Back behind him, the 39 car, Brian Newman, had a great run in this same car here back in June. What was their problem? Well, with 21 laps to go, they lost third gear, but they went to work. For 2 weeks, sometimes around the clock, the engineers were at the General Motors drivetrain facility putting mileage on gears and transmissions. And he said, Ryan said, I hope I don't have a third gear issue today. If I don't, we should have a shot at winning it. Jamie.
And behind him, the 88 of Dale Jr. started 19th today, running 8th now. I talked to his crew chief, Steve Letarte, and I said, how would you assess the first half of the year? He said, overall, it has been good. But the biggest adjustment is these cars that Dale Jr. has been racing this year were the 24 of Jeff Gordon last year. And Dale told him these cars are tough to drive. It has been an adjustment. Their last top 10 came 6 weeks ago at this track, but they have been good this weekend in top 10 most of the day, Vince.
Clint Boyer in that 33 car running in 9th. Boyer currently one of those on the outside looking into the chase, but he's not too far off, so this is a big race, and he was not feeling well at all today before the race. In fact, was on the couch covered in blankets, still feeling cold and feverish and shivering, nauseous. He said, there's no way I'm getting out of this race car, though. We got too much to get done. Car not too good, though. It's really bouncing as he gets into turn 1. Jamie?
And it's good to see the 31 at Jeff Burton, his teammate right behind him, having a pretty solid day. Not bad, being that this is the second race together with his new crew chief, Luke Lambert. Now, Luke is a brand new crew chief, and he told me these two committed to each other to make it work this year, no matter the outcome. And after last week, when they had an electrical, this weekend has been a dream. They qualified top 10, and they remain in the top 10. Behind him, Brad Keselowski. Of course, we've been documenting his broken left ankle all day. He is a left foot breaker, and of course, he's shifting with that left foot. The team continuing to tell him, stop shifting so much. He's hanging in there, though, Alan. He's tough as nails today.
When pit stops happen at Pocono, they happen in a hurry. The leaders are hitting pit road. 2 rounds of wedge for Kurt Busch in that 22 car. He will get 4 tires. They'll get it full of Sunoco fuel. The wedge on the left side. Vince.
The 27 of Paul Menard. Menard's been struggling with a car that's been tight in and loose off throughout the course of the day. They've gone with 4 tires the last 2 stops. Jamie.
And the 2 of Brad Keselowski, he just needs more drive off. 4 tires, track bar, air pressure for Keselowski.
Kevin Harvick said the car is okay at the beginning and run, but after about 15 laps, I am sideways hanging on. Major chassis adjustment, air pressure, 30 points, 3 wins, but struggling here today. Your former leader, Denny Hamlin, the 4-time Pocono winner now, coming down pit road. Hamlin will take 4 tires, filling up with Sunoco fuel, 1 round down on the track bar. And there's the round on the track bar, now coming to the left side. Jack got to get under the car. Left rear tire going out, left front on, left side, got to get full fuel. Hamlin down and away, 12.5 seconds, guys.
Mark Martin has said hardly anything all day long other than the fact that the air hose had come loose from his helmet and he was really hot early in the race. They're going to make a 4-tire change, add some air pressure to get him a little freer in the corner. Dave?
17 car of Matt Kenseth is on pit road. His car will still refuse to turn in the corners. That'll be a track bar adjustment, just a half a round. The 18 car of Kyle Busch, our leader. He'll get 4 tires as well, the 18 on and off the pit road.
There is Kyle Busch to the attention of his crew. Also getting here, Carl Edwards, Joey Logano. Doc?
Carl Edwards had already made an adjustment before on the previous stop when the car had been so loose. Carl said the car was much, much better. Flawless pit stop there. Dave.
14 car of Tony Stewart on pit road. His complaints, loose off of turn 1, good through turn 2, little tight center of 3. They'll put on 4 tires. They'll make an air pressure adjustment for the former winner 2 times here at the Pocono Raceway. 16 of Greg Biffle, a struggle today. He said the car was a little better on this run. He still needs more grip. There he goes, hitting his pit box right there, just at the front edge, giving Stewart plenty of room. A very racemanship move right there. Down to the track bar, air into the left rears, and they'll work on air pressure on the left front for Biffle as well.
39 car Ryan Newman coming down. He was the leader after the others had made their pit stops. Thinking about having a good weekend. He's in the top 5 in both practice sessions after a frustrating week last week at the Brickyard. Right side tires going on. They will make a chassis adjustment. Ryan's car's been loose, tight, or should say tight initially, then loose. Now back to tight a little bit. Left side tires going on. 4 tire stops for Ryan Newman. Alex?
All right, couple things here. Jamie McMurray just made a stop-and-go penalty on his pit stop at the beginning of the cycle. They removed equipment from the pit box in rather spectacular fashion.
Yeah, Jamie was ready to get out of there. The jack man didn't quite get the jack pulled out. See, it hangs on the jack stop. Then right here, the tire just grabs a hold of that jack. And, man, it's lucky nobody got hurt there.
So McMurray came back in for a stop-and-go penalty. Other thing that happened on the exchange of pit stops is the lead exchanged. Remember, Kyle Busch was leading Denny Hamlin before the stops? Well, it's the other way around now, with Denny Hamlin leading Kyle Busch. We'll check the gap as they cross the finish line. There's Hamlin. There is Busch. Not much, 1.6 seconds between the top 2. Still 11 laps shy of halfway at Pocono. Our coverage presented today by the Sprint Summer Showdown. RV Insurance 500 from Pocono. Today, make sure you go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Denny Hamlin leading as we close in on the midway point of today's race at the giant 2.5-mile triangle in the mountains in eastern Pennsylvania.
Left front.
Tony Stewart has just ducked onto pit road. See the flat left front there? They spent a long time on the left front on that last pit stop they made. And something's not gone right there with the 14.
So they're going to make a 4-tire change. You know, the problem is obviously on the left. They'll come around here and address that issue.
Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up.
If they have something rubbing on the inside there, just replacing the tire. Doesn't have any obvious damage. See Andy Lally making his pit stop behind Tony.
Like I said, remember the shot on the last pit stop there. He was there for a long time, and it was at the left front corner of the car. So we'll see if there's a follow-up there from Tony Stewart. He was running 16th at the time. And that's all the way back now to 31st position for Tony, and it knocks him outside the top 10 in points.
Tony's going to need some real help here today.
Reminder that later on today, it's coverage of the NHRA O'Reilly Auto Parts Northwest Nationals at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, and the American Le Mans Series Mid-Ohio Sports Car Challenge at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. NASCAR Now will recap today's Pocono race with our pit reporters. Roundtable, that's at 5 Eastern Monday, ESPN2. And next weekend, it's on to the road course in Watkins Glen for our coverage of the Nationwide Series Saturday, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, it's Sunday, presented by GoDaddy.com. That is next weekend from the Glen. Mentioned that Robbie Gordon has been into and back out of the garage. You've also caught a glimpse of David Reagan back on track after his early race crash. Now, before the pit stops, we heard Kyle Busch looking to be able to lead a lap to gain a bonus point in the championship from his teammate. He got that lead, then didn't give it back. Then he got the lead back on the pit stops. Here are a series of recent radio transmissions between the two.
Yeah, just passing it along. Your decision. I mean, you don't pull out top 10. I mean, come on, let's go. You still doesn't answer my question. Do I have to give it back? Yes, give it back. Give it back. Kind of driving away. I mean, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if we let you go or not. Considering I'm driving away, I'm going to keep it. Thank you.
Well, being a good teammate, Denny Hamlin did indeed allow the 18 to go by to be able to lead the lap, considering all the things that Kyle Busch has battled early on today. As far as giving the lead back, Denny Hamlin really couldn't get it back, and he understood, because at the end of every run today, Denny Hamlin's car has been very loose on exit. So because he was so loose, Kyle Busch was driving away, so that was okay. But at the end of the race, don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, we kind of speculated about that. We saw the exchange and expected that, you know, Kyle would give it back to Denny, but he didn't. And I don't know why.
I'd have to say that go in the memory bank for the next time that conversation may come up.
Keep a marker there?
Yeah. Might have been his one free pass.
Definitely making Denny drive harder than he was early in the race, by Kyle being close to him.
Yeah, that probably had some effect that last time we talked about Denny's car getting loose at the end. You have to drive it a little bit harder. You'll use up that right rear tire a little bit more, and then you'll be looser at the end.
Where is the first place that car will get loose in the 3 turns when it starts to get loose?
I think you'll find it more right there where Denny Hamlin is coming off of turn 3. That's where you're going to find it as you try to power down. There's not a lot of banking there, and that's going to be your first inclination.
Follow up on the problem with the 14 car from Dave.
And Andy, help me, crew chief, if I don't get this quite right. We're missing some parts here. The inner valve stem is gone. So in the inner tire, the air had to go somewhere, and it went and equalized the tire, and that's where they came up with the issue, I believe, Andy.
Yeah, I wondered, Dave, when they had that problem on that last pit stop, if they didn't knock one of the valve stems out. And what happens when you knock that inner one off, it just lets all the air out of that inner tire, and then basically you lose some of the outer pressure, too, and end up failing that left front.
So that's what happened to Tony Stewart, and has left him back in 28th position, a lap down.
We are now officially halfway at Pocono. You can see the yellow flag flying. Caution is out. Denny Hamlin is still your leader. Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Carl Edwards are your top three. Looking around the track.
Caution's in turn 3 there.
Yeah, there's a lot of debris down in turn 3. They're trying to do the caution flag for that right there. But right before that little bit of debris got there, guys, I was watching Jimmy Johnson. You know, we've been talking about Johnson, 5-time, second half driver. This guy's been really coming on. I'm looking at his lap times. He's been lurking back there.
Lap
really
time, he is fast, Rusty. That's exactly right. I've been keeping an eye on Jimmy as well. He is starting to really, this race team is starting to come together. We haven't said a lot about Jimmy Johnson all year long. These guys have been lurking around at the back of all these races, getting good finishes. He is on the move.
Rusty, you said Jimmy Johnson, he's a second half team
Yes, he
player.
is. He's coming. He's coming.
A lot of people have been ignoring him. They're thinking, how can a guy win a 6th championship? He's won 5 in a row. I don't ever count him out
He's second
at all.
in the points, though. We talk about him like he's 30th in the points.
It's like year after year, guys, we kind of ignore him because, not on purpose.
No, that's right.
But we see Denny Hamlin, we see Kurt Busch, there's Juan Pablo Montoya.
Which is the lucky dog this time around. And the thing about Montoya, this is a track that was supposed to be a good track for him.
That's right.
He led a lot of laps here in the June race. Of note, though, that was with crew chief Brian Patty. Now he has Jim Pullman.
Well, it's obvious there's been some type of disruption. You go to the Brickyard, Montoya, in a lot of people's minds, was the odds-on guy to win that race. Backing it up, coming here where he's been very dominant, another opportunity to win. They struggled today to crack the top 20, so something's going on.
Coming down pit road, the 48 has the first stall. Vince, what do you got?
You got the quads there with Jimmy Johnson in your upper left. He says it's a little tight through 1, especially on the bumps. They're going to try backing up the corner a little bit to help him out there in 3. It's a 4-tire change. The car is really good. Jamie?
Dale Jr. bottom left says his biggest problem is turn 3. He's loose. 4 tires and a wedge adjustment for Junior. Dave?
Second place, Kyle Busch. Can they make his car good enough to beat his teammate? 4 tires, track bar adjustment, a little loose. Doc?
Danny Hamlin loose going into 1, and he said it snaps loose coming on a 3. 4 tire, 3/4 round up, right rear, race off, and Hamlin trying to hang on against his teammate Kyle Busch. Nicole.
Interesting to see the strategy playing out now that we are past halfway with rain possibly in the area. Logano won the race off with just 2 tires, followed by Busch and Newman. First car with 4, Denny Hamlin.
Well, you're already starting to see that. 2 tires, 4 tires, whatever's going to work for that individual team, that's what we're doing. There's some strategy play going on now.
Yeah.
And Brad, we mentioned the rain. It is out there.
Yeah, it is. Earnhardt Jr. maintains his position. Junior is on the move, baby.
Junior on the move, and he needs it because he hasn't had a top 10 since the June race here. 99 to go at Pocono. We'll run those down when we come back. Issues earlier, David Reagan.
Yeah, Tony had been strong the last couple of races, but Rusty pointed out the Countdown Show, if anything happens to Tony, he's in trouble. Well, it happened, and right now, he's outside the chase.
About to see the restart. The pole sitter, Joey Logano, is on the point. He'll come down. But for more on the 4 car, which is Casey Kane, who started second, let's go down to Vince.
It's actually Jamie, and he started on the front row, Nicole, but his day has been a struggle. The car has been extremely loose, but just before the round of stops, this was on his grill. That puts new meaning in plastic on the grill. It was so bad he couldn't drive. He brought it in, they pitted, lost 10 positions, and they went a lap down, so it's been a tough day for the Red Bull teams. Doc?
Greg Zipadelli made a 2-tire call for Joey Logano. And Zippy, was a 2-tire call based on the others doing 4, or was it a strategy move here with maybe weather moving in?
Well, there's some weather in the area, and we said at the beginning of the race, kind of our plan was anything around 12 or so laps. We would take right sides and kind of maintain our track position. So, you know, it's hard to say. I think we were pretty good before on 2 tires, and we got our track position we need. So we'll just see if we get a long run here and see where we go.
All right, 2-tire call put Joey Logano back up front, and maybe some weather moving in. Alan?
Out to see the green flag start presented by American Ethanol. A lot of rail rounds on that one. 10 of them, including Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, and Tony Stewart. This could be a break for him. Coming to green. On the outside, it is Joey Logano. On the inside, it's the 22. Kurt Busch is brought to you by American Ethanol. Gonna see him fan out here. AB, back to you.
See how the tires play out as they charge off into turn 1, Nicole. nuts behind the wheel.
There's rain building. He might be running for the checker right here.
Yeah, there's not going to be much give and take right here. It's going to be mostly take as these drivers try to get all that they can, knowing that most of them have been told that there's some rain not too far away.
Denny Hamlin looking for second. On Kurt Busch. Riding with Jimmy Johnson. With Kyle Busch lurking.
Not able to get by these two cars on two tires. And Jimmy put a little pressure on Denny Hamlin.
That pass him down the bottom of the racetrack once again. If he can get this inside positioning before they get to turn 2, it should allow him to take this spot from Kurt Busch. Kurt's fighting back on that high side.
This has been one of Denny Hamlin's best corners, though. The tunnel turn 2. See just how good his car is in there.
There's Jimmy Johnson downshift right there. That's trying to get that run up off the corner. Kurt Busch a little bit loose.
He had the run. Can he make that bottom lane stick? Nope. Just that little twitch.
Yeah, those cars on the outside up there, that pavement is still good enough to give them a little help. Plus the two right side tires keeping that momentum. It's hard to make that pass on the inside off of 3 right now until the tires get wet.
Yeah, last lapper, Joey Logano was a 54.97. That's a pretty good lap right now. Cars have been slowing down into the 57-second bracket after they get laps on the tires.
Now, Ryan Newman just ahead there in that black and orange 39 car. He was the third of the 3 teams that took just the right side tires on the pit stop. He hasn't fared quite as well. 3 wide there.
Carl Edwards with a big move. Bernard and Keselowski were side by side. Here comes Bernard with a big run. Can he get back by Carl?
That Carl throws a block on him.
And ahead, 5th place, Earnhardt, right side of the screen, Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch.
It's like Brad's right, Junior is back. Junior is back. We see Jeff Gordon on the other side there making a run too. First time we've really seen him up in the mix today.
The car you caught a glimpse of darting the pit road at the back of the screen was Bobby the Body. He was one of the wave-around cars. Before that caution, one of 10 that took the wave-around. That included Tony Stewart and Casey Kane, also included Jamie McMurray, who had the penalty earlier.
Yeah, he can sneak on pit road and get a little bit of fuel, get back out there, and still stay on the lead lap.
A lot of great racing here. 24 and 2, Gordon and Keselowski for 10th. 48-22 for 3rd, Johnson and Kurt Busch.
You know, Jeff Gordon couldn't outrun anybody the first run. He was so loose. I told his crew chief that he just couldn't get any grip at all. They've really made some gains with this car.
Yeah, I'd have to say he's one of those drivers hoping that it doesn't rain here for quite a while. Junior might be one of those too. He might have a car capable of getting to the front.
Wow. Kurt's got his hands full.
Yeah, he sure does. Those 2 tires. See Kyle Busch using that little bit of draft that you get down the front straightaway here, trying to make it, well, he does make it 3 wide, trying to make that pass from the inside. Really bumpy down there, though.
Junior trying to sneak back up on the outside.
He was trying to. He was in the gas hard trying to get that spot back.
And 3 wide behind him. And that shuttles back down.
Pretty strong move by Junior right there. You know his car's good whenever you can drive it in that far into the tunnel turn on the high side.
There's Jeff Gordon continuing to push to the fore. Going by Ryan Newman. That'll be for 8th place.
Boy, Gordon's way up on the high side there. That might cost him a little bit of time. See if he can get a good run off the corner.
Well, they just did clean that outside lane under that last caution. It's a good thing.
I guess he asked him to do that. So he's planning on using it.
Urgency that everybody was talking about where the weather radar is concerned.
Yeah, this weather's so dynamic here. Really hard for crew chiefs to tell, even by this radar image, if it's really going to rain, how long it's going to be.
I'd sure hate to try to make my living predicting when it's going to rain around this place.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? I think we've all people that have been coming here long enough know that when the forecast says there's no way you're going to race, don't worry about it. And when the forecast says there's no way rain could possibly be a factor, don't rule it out. So Joey Logano back to the point. Denny Hamlin has worked his way back to second.
Those two tires are working really good on that 20 car right now. Look at Jimmy. He's making some moves now, making his way up in the top three.
48 team's been having a lot of fun here at Pocono this weekend, huh, Vince?
Well, and they've certainly had a good day today. The 48 pit crew has been flawless today, and they are often in the eye of the storm, but they've had no mistakes. Chad Knaus has given Jimmy Johnson a good car to drive from 18th to 3rd. And look at that. They've been having fun with what they call the mini Chad. You're seeing the mini Chad there on the pit signboard for Jimmy Johnson that he sees when he comes in for his pit box. The Hendrick guys have taken the mini Chad around, had his picture taken with different personalities and in different situations. They had a lot of fun with it at the Hendrick shop this week. These guys are having fun as they're making their way toward the chase, Alan.
Chad Knaus celebrating one of those 0 birthdays here this weekend and hoping to finish the weekend in victory lane, holding a trophy. That'd be a pretty nice birthday present, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon back by Brad Keselowski. When we saw Gordon go for that slide in turn 3, the two got around him. Now he's got that spot back.
Yeah, now we're seeing what won this race back in June for this 24 car and Jeff Gordon. This is the kind of power and drive that they showed during that race.
Just how hard they're turning those engines here at Pocono.
Yeah, and in these next 89 laps, it's going to get more and more so as they try to keep spots and gain spots, too.
Robbie Gordon has been in the garage once earlier in the race, came back out. He's gone back into the garage in the 7 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. up into the top 5, Jamie.
He is having a solid day. Allen started 19th after the last pit stop. He was 9th, and this was him on the radio.
Hey, man. Appreciate the car. It's pretty good. I think it could be better, and we need to try to make it better on every stop, but it's, it's been doing pretty good, so appreciate it. Just appreciate it when they run competitive. I think, they're having a pretty good time in there.
And you see Steve Letarte, as he handles, you see his hands go to the left there. But Dale Jr. doing a great job. He got word that there is a rain cloud, and he passed 4 cars, Alan. This team is doing well today.
Against Paul Menard, of course, qualified with his win last week at Indy. And whoever all else wins these next 3 weeks worth of races. If you'd like to know more, go to sprint.com/speed. Saw the fan favorite for the day by the online vote was Jeff Gordon. Boy, he's been on the move here lately in the race. Speaking of on the move.
Yeah, his teammates on the move, too. Jimmy Johnson now underneath Denny Hamlin. Denny's car hasn't been quite as good. Seems like the track's cooled down a little bit. He hasn't been as good this run.
Yeah, I think this cloud cover may be throwing him a little bit of a curve with his car right now.
But how about Joey Logano out there on those 2 tires?
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin's got 4.
Kind of continuing what's been a season-long trend here lately. And the teams have a pretty good bit of history with this tire setup here at Pocono, because this is something they've run now for a 6th consecutive race, as you see Carl Edwards going by Kurt Busch for the 9th spot. So they know what to expect, and we're seeing so much about clean air being out in front.
Well, you see that, you hear that, but then Jeff Gordon, the first part of this race, he couldn't pass a solo. He was back in 30th place, and he won the race here in June. But now he's kind of got it back on track and making his way to the front.
Yeah, we talk so much about you don't want to get your car too tight, because if it doesn't turn, then you're going to lose that speed in the center. But this is one of those places that you absolutely, because of how different the 3 corners are, if you get loose, especially on throttle, then you're not going to be able to go around this racetrack. You have to be in the gas a lot, making a lot of speed. And Jeff Gordon was that at the beginning. Looks like they've got it fixed for him now.
Kurt Busch was up front for a while, Dave.
And DJ's all over Kurt's problem. His problem earlier in the race, loose off. The first pit stop, they put 2 tires on it. It tightened the car up. The last run, loose off. Put 2 tires on it. It didn't work. It's going the wrong way. Could the changing track conditions be part of it, guys?
Yeah, we talked about that just a second ago, Dave, that it could be, especially for Denny Hamlin. And, you know, the 2 tires didn't work for the 22, but, man, I can't believe how great they're working in the 20.
They're obvious just to me or anybody else that we just fade at the end of these races. Come on!
Frustration.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't take long to get frustrated inside there. You start losing a couple of spots in your car, not driving well. This is a tough place then.
So Kurt is running back in 10th position. 81 laps to go. Pit stops approaching. Possible weather approaching. Oh, boy. And Jimmy Johnson approaching Joey Logano.
Yeah, 48's approaching.
Moment, an important one coming here at Pocono Raceway. The race for the lead as spotters around the racetrack beginning to report the first couple of drops of rain.
There it is.
There it is.
Big time. That's more than a couple drops right there. That gets you attention as a driver.
That's turn 3.
That's where they say the rain's coming from, is right there in turn 3.
That's when, as the leader, you're hollering, it's pouring down rain.
There's
right
a
now.
caution.
Caution.
Jimmy Johnson made a run at Joey Logano, but you have to give Joey a lot of credit. He stepped it up there as they were telling him that rain was over in turn 3.
Managed to keep him behind him. That might be important.
Well, you remember the last time he won a race, don't you?
I do. New Hampshire.
Almost the same exact circumstance here.
Although he's run a lot better today than
he has. He's run a good race here.
That race in New Hampshire, a strategy call by crew chief Greg Zipadelli, got Joey to the front. It rained. The race was called. Joey won the race. Today he started on the pole. And he's not really run any further back than, what, 5th?
Yeah, he's been very solid all day long. And this is more of what I expected to see from Joey Logano and this Home Depot team throughout the entire season. They didn't start out like that. But I tell you, really, the last 6, 7, maybe even 8 weeks, they've been very strong. All the finishes don't show it, but they have been a much better race team.
So now Greg Zipadelli has a decision to make.
Well, I know what his decision is going to be.
What?
Leave him out. Right
Okay.
now, leave him out, and then there's going to be some other cars that are going to gamble. Other crew chiefs say, okay, I'm looking at this radar. It's going to go back green. I'm going to go ahead and pit now and get the advantage when it goes green.
But even if you're Greg Zipadelli and you look at that radar and your hunch is the race is going to go back green, you still don't take that chance?
If I'm Greg Zipadelli, I'm saying out. I'm just telling you what I'll do.
The last rain-shortened race in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series was that one we were just talking about. And, you know, you think about it, so many of the rumors going around the last month or so. Rumors that Carl Edwards was going to Joe Gibbs Racing in this 20 car with this sponsor. Rumors that didn't turn out to pan out. Edwards re-signing with Roush Fenway Racing this past week. But what kind of pressure that had to put on Joey Logano. Joey, after winning the pole, in his press conference was asked, you know, did you ask about it? He said, no, what are they going to tell me? He said, I just had to go out there and drive the car as hard as I could and show them that this team and I, as a driver, we're making progress.
Well, it's one thing, you know, to have pressure on you.
We're going to have to stay out here and see if they call it. If they don't, we'll have to come get 4 tires, right?
Well, you know, the pressure's there for sure, no doubt. But how do you handle it? I think that's what he's done. He's really risen up to it, and it's made him better. I think he's made him a better race car driver.
Yeah, it may have done that. And at such a young age, it's really the first time he's had to face this type of adversity and maybe a situation where they were talking about that something different may happen. But yeah, and I'm not sure. It probably is making him better in some ways, but Joey Logano goes out here and drives hard all the time. I think this team has responded around him too, and is helping show the talents of a Joey Logano.
Look at the wetness on that racetrack. The car's going to be brought down the pit lane and stopped here under the red flag. With still 76 laps to go in this race. Following up, last time the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series had a race shortened by rain. Car wasn't all that pretty, but they made the right calls.
They're having a tough day that day, but man, did it not work out good for him there.
And Joey Logano becoming the youngest winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at that time.
Now they're not going to let the cars pit here. The pit road's going to be closed as they bring them down. Doc?
Well, Greg Zipadelli was praying that they would not allow cars to come on pit road and pit because they wanted to be able to stay up front and not come in and be able to coax the fuel mileage. Greg, what's your thinking now? I mean, a great call, 2 tires, got him out front, and now the rains have moved in.
Yeah, we'll just we'll ride it out. They're going to pull us down pit road. It's raining hard enough so that nobody can pit. If we go back, we'll all come down pit road and get tires. If not, we may have a win here.
How much further could you guys go if we restarted and run some laps before they open pit road? Do you have a 4 or 5 lap buffer?
Yeah, we're 10, 12 laps. We're good. We're good shape. Fuel mileage is pretty good today.
Okay, it's Greg Zipadelli making a call. They're stopping them right in front of us here on pit road. Vince.
Chad Knausman keeping an eye on the weather. Of course, we know it's raining, but looking at the radar screen as well. You guys have had a good day so far from 18th all the way up to second. Car seems to be coming in. Pit stop's good. Now what?
Well, now we sit here and we wait the storm out like everybody else. We've got another storm on the way about 75 miles out, so we'll see if that gets to us, and we'll see how long this rain keeps up. If this keeps up, I think that other one's going to be on us pretty quick, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But couldn't be happier about the Lowe's Chevrolet, the way Jimmy's driving it today. Picker's been fantastic. The only thing we're missing is Mr. Hendrick. He's back in Charlotte with Miss Mary. She's not doing very well today, so if you're listening to Miss Mary, Mr. Hendrick, we miss you guys. Wish you were with us today, but hopefully we can get a good solid finish here today. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's going to be some strategy coming to play from this point.
That's for sure. Thanks, Chad. Jamie?
And Steve Letarte from 19th up to 5th. Good day so far. We even heard your driver happily on the radio, thanking you guys for your hard work. What happens now? I know he said he's getting out of that car.
Well, I mean, we'll just have to see. You know, this is an interesting place. It takes a long time to dry. It's just a small cell, but something might build. But we have a great AM National Guard Chevrolet. It's been good all day long. I think we just made it better on that run. I'm really on the fence. 5th isn't bad, but I think we have a car that can go up and challenge for a win. So, I mean, we came up here to put a show on for the fans, hopefully get a dry and race, but that's NASCAR's decision. We'll just see what they say.
If it ends now, you guys will move up 1 spot in the points tonight. That's good news for Junior Nation. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. The red flag has been displayed at 3:25 Eastern Time. Drivers climbing out of the cars. Obviously, the rain heavy enough, even if it stopped right immediately now, it's going to take a while to get this racetrack dry. Here's the interesting part. You look at the radar picture, there is nothing behind it immediately. But you heard the reference there from pit road about there being another cell a ways back. It does take some time to dry this racetrack. It's big.
It is a big track, and that cell he's talking about is about 75 miles away, and it's to the west and moving towards the track.
So, has Joey Logano gotten a win? Will these guys get a chance to race some more and try and take that trophy away from him? We're coming back to Pocono Raceway in just a minute to find out.
The pit lane, and Chad Knaus, your car running second with Jimmy Johnson. You haven't made any changes the last couple of stops. Do you anticipate needing to make any changes for the green track as we get ready to go back racing?
It's definitely going to be a little bit different. The track's obviously a lot cleaner than what it was when we started. When we started the race, there was a bunch of the ARCA car Hoosier rubber out there. We had the truck race. Right now, it's pretty clean because it rained pretty hard. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We might make a small change or two, and we'll just see how it shakes out.
Car certainly was good prior to the rain. Jamie Little.
Steve Letarte with Dale Earnhardt Jr. You guys will pit this time. You had a chance to talk to your driver during that time. What did you guys discuss?
Well, we've been struggling a little bit in turn 3, and the wedge just seemed to be held it all day long, but now we're starting to get a little tight in the middle, so I think we're done with the wedge. We have to go maybe to some air pressure. So we just talked about the best way to do it. Some of the stuff our teammates have done, we're going to go down that road and see if we get any better.
Minor adjustments and 4 tires, Dave Burns.
Dave Rogers, crew chief on the 18. What's the best way to give Kyle the feel he needs on a green racetrack?
Yes, we've been talking about that for the last hour. You know, we lost the handle. We got a little loose here at the end, but now the rain's washed all the rubber off, but the sun's come out, so a lot of variables have changed here. We were a little bit faster when we were on the snug side, so we're going to tighten them up a little bit and see where that brings us.
How many simulations can you run in an hour during a rain delay?
We didn't run any.
Wow, old school racing. I love it.
Yeah, old school racing. Our simulation program doesn't factor in rain and sun and clouds and all that good stuff, so just common sense, I guess.
Hey, you know what, Alan? The human brain still does.
Good crew chief with a thick notebook and his whole team of engineers around him. Pit road still closed. Following up on the caution that came out for rain, Tony Stewart gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He was the first driver a lap down, so Smoke, back in 28th place, is going to get to come back around and be on the lead lap when we go back racing. You heard from him just a little while ago. He's got some work to do.
Yeah, he needed this to go back to green flag racing to try to make up for some of the lost time they've had with that tire issue. So he's glad that he's going to get to race and try to get himself back towards that top 10.
Yeah, he was smiling, so it seems like his car was going to be pretty good when he gets his lap back.
So while we wait for the safety crews to finish doing some drying work on pit road and open the pit lane for this round of strategy and stops, let's go back and recap how we got to where we are today in case you weren't with us right from the start.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Green flag. We're underway at Pocono.
Rear damage, rear damage. Caution's out, Busch, caution's out.
Kyle Busch was leading Denny Hamlin. Now.
Are you shifting? Yeah, I've been. I just tried this last time when I was shifting the tunnel. It didn't go so well.
Kyle had a spin.
Caution's out, caution's out, caution's out, caution's out.
And that's what got us to where we were, a 1 hour, 40 minute, and 45 second rain delay. Now the track is finishing up being dried. We're going to have a round of pit stops, and then we're going to go back racing with 74 laps left in this 500-miler at Pocono today.
Yeah, the track's pretty well ready to go, but you can see the drivers working on pit road, trying to get it dry for these crews and drivers to get in on and off safely.
And thinking about what we've seen so far today, if you had to put a finger on one guy, it'd be Denny Hamlin. He's been the strongest so far today. But there's been twists in that story at times. Early run, late run, pit stop strategy, and so on. And that could throw this whole thing around as we get toward the finish. And boy, haven't we seen that before this year.
Yeah, and that was 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've had a big shift in everything. I mean, the track condition and you know, we've just seen a lot of people cycling through. We've seen the best car beat Denny Hamlin for a while, but will he be now? I don't know.
Yeah, before that caution came out, we saw Jimmy Johnson and his team make all of the right decisions with the changes on their race car throughout that time, and it really looked like they caught up to the racetrack better at that point in time than even the Gibbs cars, even though Logano was able to stay out front.
So a couple of quick strategy recaps on the day, because strategy has become such a theme in these races. On the caution, right at the halfway point, we saw Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman. Those three teams, they got just right side tires. While Logano was able to hold the lead, Kurt Busch and Newman slipped back a little bit. Denny Hamlin took 4 on that pit stop, restarted 4th, got his way up to where you see him now in 3rd, was eventually overtaken by Jimmy Johnson. Then the green flag pit stops we've seen. We've had a couple of rounds of green flag pit stops on the day. And then the pit stops under green just before the rain for the 2 and the 22 of Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. And pit road going to be open this time, so we'll see that come into play, as well as what other calls get made here. Did you follow all that? Oh, I got it. Was I close there?
Yeah. That they have been given the extra man over the wall, which we'll be able to basically service the driver, clean, get the windshield tear off out of the way, and if the driver's needing something to drink.
All right, hope everybody's awake, back in the game, stretched out, ready to go.
Awake here in a minute,
because they're going to be coming over the wall right now for a set of stops with 72 laps to go. Vince?
One thing Chad Knaus told Jimmy Johnson, make sure your tires are warm before you get to the boxes. You see the quad box, Jimmy Johnson in the upper left-hand corner. They're going to make a 4-tire change for Jimmy. His car's really come alive throughout the course of this day. They've been one of the best. Jamie?
Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate, bottom left, air pressure adjustment to help him in turn 3. 4 tires and fill it up with Sunoco, Dave.
They told Kyle Busch where the worst of pit road was, so he didn't slide through. He did not. 4 tires, wedge adjustment to snug up that race car. Doc?
Right lower corner, race leader Joey Logano. Minor chassis adjustment, a little bit of air pressure, 4 tires. They warned him, be careful of leaving moisture on pit road. He is away, and the 31 car will beat him off.
Jeff Burton's team going to go for some track position with just 2 tires.
It's certainly a gamble at this point in time, but I'm sure that his team saw what that clean air could do if he could get out front. Denny Hamlin losing 4 spots there.
And as predicted, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch did not pit, and they are going to move up to the front of the line for this restart.
Well, that strategy definitely worked for him. It was a gamble, not knowing if this race would ever get back green again. And they had to gamble on that it was going to rain, because they did it before it rained, so it was kind of a double whammy.
So they are going to come to the start-finish line and get the 1-to-go signal. And form up for the double file restart and go racing a lap later. NASCAR just taking its safety spotters and having a good look around the racetrack, make sure it's all clear, all dry, no debris, no moisture running anywhere, make sure the pit lane is good to go, and make sure the conditions are right to turn them loose to go back racing.
Yeah, because they're going to be going about 200 miles an hour, going in the corner about 4 or 5 wide, so it definitely needs to be clean.
Yeah, as much sunlight as we saw there right before as they got ready to crank these up, we're starting to cloud up already. So I'm sure all of these drivers and crew chiefs are well aware of the approaching next sale that could get here and already thinking about their strategy from this point forward.
Talked about the crew chiefs, the crews rather, getting all stretched out and ready to go. Anwar Parrish has been carrying our over-the-wall camera today for David Gilliland's team. Cleaning up after their stop a minute ago, getting all those lug nuts swept back onto the wall. Back in the game.
Such an art to watch those guys perform.
So Tony Stewart, remember, the free pass under this caution, so he had to stay on the track on that lap when the leaders pitted, got to go by the pace car, now comes in, gets his service, tops off the fuel, and he'll rejoin the end of the field, but will be on the lead lap.
Yeah, it took a little time, too, to make some adjustments on that car while they had plenty of time to do that with this 2.5-mile track, so see how much help that may be to Tony as we go back to green.
So Jeff Burton's team picking up 14 spots on the pit stop with just the right side tire call. Jamie?
That's right. Talk about pressure to perform. Luke Lambert is the crew chief for Jeff Burton as of last week. Now, this isn't just their second race working together. This is his second race ever as a crew chief in any series. He was given the opportunity. The team has felt a lot about him as an engineer. They thought, hey, he'll be good. I talked to Jeff Burton before he got in the car. He said, so far, so good. We've got a hole we have to dig out of, but Luke has been great. And right now, Alan, he made that last-minute call. They were going to take 4. He said, let's take 2, get track position, and it worked.
Well, we'll see how well it works after they run a while. I mean, it definitely got him the track position they need. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hold it. Yeah, and it's been kind of 50-50. We saw Joey Logano on 2 tires really run well for quite a few laps. Kurt Busch, who had a great car early in the race, couldn't run at all on 2 tires.
See some wave around cars going by the pace car. Did not pit under the caution. Trying to get a lap back. That'll be Casey Kane, Andy Lally, Travis Quappo will take a wave around to get back on the lead lap. But again, they do not have fresh tires or fuel because you're not allowed to stop if you take the wave around. All right, well, you're the driver. You've been sitting over in the hauler or the motor coach for over an hour and a half. Had a chance to regroup, maybe change the uniform, freshen up, feel good. Do you feel as good as you did at the start of the race, or is it a different feeling right now?
Yeah, no, it's a different feel right now, and I think most of these drivers are probably anticipating what might be a really loose racing condition right at the beginning of this. So you're a little bit tensed up right there, knowing, too, that weather could be coming. Everybody's going to be a little amped up right here to go, so should be an interesting restart.
And these restarts are so important. Everybody trying to steal spots early. We saw David Reagan get in trouble trying to steal a few spots earlier in the race, and he made it 3 wide into 3 and got loose and spun out.
Saying there's going to be a sense of urgency here.
Yep.
Is what we're going to feel.
And you don't want to let it get strung out because then it just gets really, really hard to try to make those spots up.
So there they are, the front 2. Brad Keselowski, the leader, choosing the outside lane for the restart. Kurt Busch to his inside, not pitting under this caution, stopping under the green just before the rain that put us under the yellow and eventually the red flag. After a 1 hour and 40-minute rain delay. The fans are on their feet again, those that have come back into the stands, and a pretty good number of them. You look at the restart order, we come to the green, presented by American Ethanol, and go back racing at Pocono. losing some spots in turn 1 and going to lose some more as they come to the second corner. Lead change. Kurt Busch out in front. Logano 20 inside of Keselowski for second.
There, showing what he's got.
Kyle Busch on the move, trying to grab third. You know, sometimes it's just those little moments that make all the difference in a driver's day. Watching Denny Hamlin there down on the inside, losing those 4 spots on the pit road, the restart, break, and so on. Now he's got not only some track position to make up, but he has to pass Johnson and Kyle Busch, who have been pretty equally as strong as he's been all day.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. We see Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards battling here. But yeah, it does make a difference when you get back there and you've got those faster race cars now that you start approaching to make those passes. It becomes increasingly more difficult.
Junior and Edwards racing for 10th and 11th. Some of the side-by-side fanning out behind them.
See, Denny Hamlin's trying to look inside of Paul Menard.
That's for 6th place.
Paul Menard following up that victory at the Brickyard 400 last week with a really solid day. He's been up inside the top 15 the entire day and right now up well inside the top 10.
This is a busy place for the driver.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, especially, you know, it used to be, you talked about the older days where we had an overdrive transmission. You might just be shifting one time, downshifting going into turn 1, and then you'd get back to high gear and pretty much carry that around. But, just different things, or carry that third gear all the way around and shift back around over here. So it was, they're a lot more busy with a lot of them shifting at all 3 corners.
Kyle Busch poking around on Joey Logano there, trying to find an opening to get the second spot.
Kyle looks like whatever adjustment they made there, it was the right one, anticipating what this racetrack may be doing.
Kurt Busch got 4 tires that last time. It woke his car up pretty good.
Probably one thing, Kurt Busch had been complaining about a loose situation with his race car. This cloud cover that we have now, cooler temperature or a cooler racetrack because of all that rain, it looks like it's working to Kurt Busch's favor.
Look at those cars sliding up off of turn 3 there, top of the screen. Like he's trying to be careful going down into turn 1 because that lowest lane is the bumpiest thing.
Yeah, he followed Joey Logano as he makes that pass for second. He followed Joey down into that corner and then was able to turn his car underneath, get the air that he needed to get a good drive up off the corner and take that spot away.
Does it sound kind of foolish to say be careful when you're going into a corner at 200 miles an hour?
Yeah, you're best if you do that.
Good race here, Junior and Edwards, 88.99, 10th and 11th, been going at it side by side pretty much about since the restart.
Now they're 3 wide. 3 wide and shifting gears.
Look at that motor and that 88 carrying him down the straightaway.
Yeah, see if he can get up, get off that bottom. Oh yeah, made the pass. That's nice.
That's strong right there.
Carl Edwards sliding his through the corner.
Yeah, look at that.
give us an idea, for those of us that have never driven a race car at speed around this racetrack, are those bumps a real jolt on your body?
Oh, yeah, and talking to these drivers, of course, it's been about 4 years since I was here racing, but these drivers tell me it's gotten increasingly worse. They've got a couple more patches, and just it really jolts you around. These drivers will tell me that it's hard to sit in the seat. They have to continuously tighten their seat belts because they literally, they're bouncing around so much that it loosens the belt. So it is quite a jolt, and you get it in all three corners.
That's Mark Martin through the smoothest part of the track is turn 3. You get down to turn 1 and the tunnel turn, though, it gets a whole lot more bumpy on the bottom. Downshifting, getting in the corner. And right there's all those bumps.
I love the focus in the eyes.
See about 1,000 RPM drop when they change gears. See that big bump right there?
Yeah, that's one that really gets their attention. There's no way of going around or below that bump in turn 2.
You see Mark is shifting at every turn, going down, downshifting every turn, and upshifting on every straightaway.
You see just what that does. He gets that run up off the corner, gives him the opportunity to try to make that pass.
First side-by-side, a little bit farther back in the field, Kevin Harvick around Martin Truex. That's going to be for the 16th position.
And Truex going really high in turn 1.
They kept a lot of momentum. Let's see if that gets him to run back on Harvick here. He's taking the shorter way around.
And up front, it is the Busch brothers, with Kurt having about 1.8 seconds on his brother Kyle. Joey Logano falling 2.4 seconds back in third.
I'm pushing for a lead now because I know we'll lose it later.
Kurt talking about how they've had difficulty being strong late in the race and late in the run, Dave.
That's one aspect of it, Alan. A couple of others. The track, he believes, is perfect for him right now. His car just a little bit tight, a little bit tough to turn. And he also radioed in, he feels like when the track rubbers in, that's when he's going to go start going backwards. So it's a little of both.
Brad Keselowski by Joey Logano after giving up a couple of spots since the restart. Jamie?
He has, Ellen, but he is hanging tight. Remember when he came in, he was 21st in points, 16 points out of that wild card top 20. Right now, if the race were to end, he would be top 20 and get that wild card. But look at the 20 and the 48 breathing down Brad Keselowski's neck. The car is good, guys, but I'm not sure if it's good enough for that long.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Brad will be the lowest of the eligible drivers in position to try and get that wild card, so he needs to think about winning.
Well, he also needs to be in the top 20. He's finally done that, or will if he can stay there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he has 3 wins. If he doesn't get inside the top 20, it doesn't make any difference.
Here goes Jimmy.
Yeah, showing this muscle again that we saw before the rain delay. Johnson able to make passes and move his way forward towards the front.
I don't think any of us has ever put an eyeball on the 48 this year and said, they're not really running that well. But when you look at it, this time a year ago, Jimmy Johnson had 5 wins. He's got 1 to this point this season.
Well, I'll tell you, I learned my lesson a few years ago. Never count him out. you know what he's going to do when it comes around chase time.
Of course, when you're a 5-time consecutive champion, as Chad Knaus tells us, your expectations, they're pretty high.
We're kind of a product, product of our own performance, basically, because we've been so successful since 2002. We went out, we won races, and we ran competitively. We battled for the championship our first year. So I think that everybody out there expects us to be automatically winning races. They don't remember that winning 2 or 3 races a year is actually pretty good.
It's interesting that Chad Knaus told me this morning when I asked him to describe the season they've had, and he said, not bad. I think that's an understatement. Second in points, headed for the chase again. And he pointed out there are a lot of teams out there that like to have had the season they had. Granted, they've not won the 5 races that they had won at this point a year ago, but their average finish per race is actually better than it was at this time last season. No doubt, still going to be the team to beat in the chase, I think.
Count them out at your peril.
Yeah.
So Jimmie Johnson running in 4th right now. Count him out in this race at your peril.
Yeah, he's still coming forward.
A couple of wins here at Pocono in the past for Jimmy. Sorry, DJ.
No, and I think it's a lot of this, too, is just a product of the way that things have changed. They've had to go about race strategy a little bit different, and the level of competition has stepped up. I mean, we have 25 teams and drivers out here that can win in the right situation, and a lot of them have put themselves in that situation. So I think with the increased level of competition, it's made their job even harder to win that number of races.
Kurt Busch is still able to run the fastest laps of anybody during this run. He sounded kind of pessimistic, but if I was him and his team, I'd feel pretty good about what I'm seeing right now.
By the way, you see this 31 car coming through the frame there. Jeff Burton all the way back to 15th. So he hasn't gained anything.
No, he's actually back where he was, and he may even lose some more spots. Basically call that a negative.
Let's look a little deeper. Tony Stewart. We saw him take the free pass at the caution for the rain. Make that pit stop. Now he's trying to charge forward.
Yeah, it looks like they made quite an improvement because he had to start at the very rear on this restart. So he's caught up to these drivers that are part of the lead lap scenario and moving forward.
Tony, one of those guys that could use a win or just has to stay inside the top 10 in the championship standings. A.J. Allmendinger behind Tony. Talked to A.J. a little bit there just before we went back racing. He is looking for some track position is what he's looking for because they're trapped pretty far back in line right now. Regan Smith and Marcus Ambrose and Casey Kane all there in the line.
And Matt Kenseth, boy, he just had a struggle all day long. Hit the wall early in the race. Got together with his teammate Greg Biffle coming off the corner and smacked the wall.
And I watched this 9 car a couple of runs. He moved himself up inside the top 10, ran there 10th, 11th, 12th a number of times, but finds himself without that track position right now.
Matt Kenseth by Casey Kane for a spot. That's for 24th place. If you heard Matt's interview at the beginning of the rain delay, that was not an optimistic interview, was it?
Yeah, he said they started out bad on the weekend and just got worse.
And the car that he just passed started on the outside pole, Casey Kane, today. And boy, it's been a struggle from the drop of the green flag pretty much for him.
That's kind of been a theme for them. Qualifying well, running well, leading laps, not able to put together that whole race, Jamie, and they're doing it again today.
Absolutely. This car has just been all over the map. It hasn't been right. There's a battle going on ahead of Casey Kane right now, but that last stop on 126, they threw everything but the kitchen sink at it, and that was their quote. They took 4 tires, track bar, air pressure, wedge adjustment, just trying to get it better, and right now he's saying he's loose, in and out. Ooh, and the 9 bounces off the wall right in front of him.
Not good. How badly did he scuff it up?
He didn't hit it too hard.
Not that bad. Ambrose continues on and doesn't appear any the worse for wear.
You can see behind that car, he just lost the front end, and he couldn't get it to turn. He had the wheel in it to make it do that, but arrow-wise, the front just wouldn't turn and slaps the wall.
If you're not a really avid racing fan and you hear the term push thrown around, that's as good an example of a push as you'll ever see.
That's right. Yeah.
Turn the front wheels and nothing happens.
Yeah. If you're pushing, you're going to hit the wall with the front end. If you're loose, you're going to hit it with the back end usually.
Of course, Ambrose next week, Watkins Glen. He'll be drooling over that one.
Well, the throttle is adjustable.
Yeah. Another guy that'll be drooling over Watkins Glen next week because he's sure not having a good day at Pocono today is Juan Pablo Montoya, Vince.
Well, he hasn't had many good days lately. The last 3 races, his average finish is 24.3. He says he needs more power on the straightaways, and they've been fighting loose off all day long. And, of course, especially in turn 3, when you can't get that drive off, you're not going to have any power down the straightaway.
That's pretty much the way it is, Vince.
Yeah. Yeah, you always seem that you're getting past when you can't get back to the throttle off the corner.
And this has been a really good track for Montoya in recent times.
What was Leonard Wood used to say? If you didn't have, say you didn't have enough power, he said, "Would you have it wide open all the way around?"
Yeah.
Said, well, no. Well, then you got enough.
There's David Gilliland as we look back through some of the other lead lap cars. He's running in 27th position. David Reagan involved in a crash early in the race. That has cost him a good bit of ground in the championship. Reagan started the day 16th in points and in position for a wild card in the chase, but now he's all the way down 19th in the standings and in danger of falling out of the top 20. And so that is looking back through some of the other cars that are on the lead lap at this point. Also got Bobby Labonte, Landon Castle, David Ruderman, and Andy Lally rounding out the lead lap cars. So 52 laps to go. Let's talk strategy right now from pit road. Kurt Busch is the leader. Dave is covering him today.
Alan, the car right now tight going into the corner, loose coming off of the corner. They'll need to make an adjustment on that if Kurt is to stay in the lead. Remember his record here, very, very good, 2 wins. His brother Kyle just reported in a touch-free, getting edgy, just like before. So even with the with the grain racetrack rubbering in, they're starting to have the same handling issues they had before. Jamie?
Well, Dave, after Brad Keselowski lost his lead, he radioed to the guys, hey, the car is pretty good right now, but that 20 Joey Logano gave us no love on the restart. They told him to use up the tires. Vince?
No surprise that the 48 is having a good day. He was 4th here in June. He's won here a couple of times before. Started 18th and has been in the top 5 most of the afternoon. Jimmy says it's just a little snug, but they haven't touched this car for a change in a long time. Doc?
Joey Logano was the pole sitter and the race leader during the red flag, and you see there he's hanging on to that 20 car. He says the car is in a 4-wheel slide coming out of turn 3. He said the car is so very tight, I cannot use the throttle coming out of turn 3. And by the way, pit stops about 8 laps away. AB?
Yeah, Doc, and following up on that, we have seen pit stops closer together, a shorter fuel run or a shorter run between pit stops today than we had seen the last time out here at Pocono.
Well, I think we've just seen people short pitting. I mean, the track is so big you can pit without losing a lap. So people have just been coming in when they felt like they needed to. Like right now, we've got Jeff Burton on pit road because he just took 2 tires the last time.
Yeah, he couldn't get on pit road soon enough for his liking.
So these stops coming with 50 laps to go. Burton is in, Truex is in, Regan Smith, Casey Kane. We go to Jamie.
Andy Petrie, you called it on the 31. It was good track position. For the moment, he gained 12 spots by taking right sides only, but he slipped all the way back to 16th. 4 tires and fuel was the call. The 4 of Casey Kane is in. As I said, they have been working on this car, throwing everything at it. Everything that could go wrong basically today has a little bit slow on the left side. Wipe the grill. Casey Kane is down and away, Dave.
2 of Kurt Busch on pit road now. There's his car coming into frame. They'll take 4 tires. Remember, his car tight in and loose off. Vince? The 48 of Jimmy Johnson's going to make a 4-tire change. They're also going to make a slight wedge adjustment and clean off that grill for Jimmy Johnson. Dave? 18 of Kyle Busch in track bar adjustment for him. Remember, he was talking getting edgy. That's a bit of a loose condition feeling for him. 4 tires. Kyle is gone. Doc?
Denny Hamlin, 4 tires, half round up on a track bar. The car just very, very tight after putting a lot of adjustments in it after the red flag was picked up. Here comes Logano down pit road. Joey Logano. 29 car, the Budweiser Chevy. Kevin Harvick been struggling with a car that's been loose all day. 4 tires, air pressure, minor adjustment. He is away. One more stop, by the way, guys, for fuel between now and the checkered flag.
All right, Doc, and here comes Logano. He had taken over the race lead by staying on the racetrack when the 4 in front of him peeled off last lap. Logano in, followed by Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman. Let's cover the Gordon stop.
And And Jeff Gordon back in. He said the car is tight. It has gotten better as the day has gone on. You saw they pulled a tear up, run around to the left side. The wrench is in the hands, but I don't believe there's any changes this time around. Doc?
4 tires for Joey Logano. We told you how tight he was. Major air pressure adjustment. No wrench in the back whatsoever. A bit of a surprise because the car was just sliding to turn 3. 39 in Ryan Newman. Good race. Track bar adjustment, air pressure down and away, trying to get the car loosened up a little bit, a little too snug in turn 3. Dave.
Matt Kenseth, for the first time today, fairly happy with his race car. Said the balance was actually pretty good, but he had no brakes. They did not have any time to adjust that. Tony Stewart coming out in front of him. His race car was just a little bit tight. 4 tires, no changes on the 14.
All right, so that's everyone on the lead lap except that car, Landon Cassill, who came in and topped off the fuel just before we went back green flag racing after the rain delay.
So maybe we'll see if he'll stay out a while, how far these cars can actually go. You see everybody making these pit stops, kind of short pitting on the fuel tank. We only expect one more stop. It was 46 laps to go, 47 laps to go when most of the cars pitted.
You'll have to think that they'll cut that pretty much in half and make those 2 segments about the same, somewhere around 23, 24 laps at the most.
And there, Kurt Busch, there, Kyle Busch. That's the gap, first to second, after the exchange of pit stops.
And Kurt Busch is able to drive to a basically 3.5 second lead from that restart.
So the process starts all over again. You've made your pit stop. You're looking at the radar. You're plotting out the fuel, the strategy. How many laps are we going to go?
Yeah, we're getting down to it now. These crew chiefs are definitely figuring out this last stop and how they're going to do it. You know, they're going to either pit a little bit short and try to run that last segment as long as possible, be the first one on pit road, or maybe try to stay out longer and have better tires in case a caution comes out. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
That pass there that Kurt Busch made over Landon Cassill was for the lead of the race now, so he is back on top.
Yep, and again, Earnhardt Jr. and Edwards racing back and forth for position here, 10th and 11th, like they have been since we went back racing after the rain delay. Seeing a lot of short pitting today. Russell William Wallace down there in the pit studio. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm watching it, guys, and what I'm thinking is that, you know, I don't think they would ever try this on a racetrack where they knew if they pitted, they'd go a lap down. But on this track where you don't go a lap down, you can do stuff like that. These cars can go 30 laps on fuel. I've been watching the fuel mileage in Indy last week, and it should be close to the same here, a little bit worse because of shifting. But still, these guys hit pit road after about 20 laps. They're about 10 laps short. But again, would never try this at a track where they know they'll go a lap down.
Kind of, and once the first guy does it, kind of forces everybody else's hand to follow suit. More from pit road. Here's Vince.
Jimmy Johnson has had 0 problems throughout the course of the day. The car's been really strong after a couple of early adjustments, but now may be an issue. Listen.
Ooh, I got a vibration in 4th. 10-4. If you just need to leave it in 4th, just leave it in 4th.
The key right at the end of that comment, Chad Canal said, we've got to finish. In other words, really kind of telling Jimmy Johnson he's going to have to deal with it and baby it a little bit.
Yeah, he's got some problems, Vince. I'm watching this in-car, and he's holding it in gear, trying to hold it down in high gear. On that front straightaway, he wasn't shifting at all. This might be one of the top cars now that's having a problem with this shifting that we've been doing all day.
In the June race here, we saw a few different cars have transmission troubles, have troubles with the gears in the car. Tony Stewart was one of them. And we heard a lot of talk from other teams about what they found when they got back to their shops and took apart the stuff they ran here in the June race at the end of 500 tough miles.
Well, the biggest reason that you shift here is because the straightaways and the corners are so different. This front straightaway is so long and turn 1's really tight that it really, you know, you get down to such a low RPM that you need to downshift to get off the corners.
And with the long straightaways that there are here and the shifting and so on, back to where we started today, it's a real mechanical strain on these cars to do 500 miles.
Yeah, running that transmission in high gear is really easy on the transmission because it's just basically locking up the main shaft, the rest of the gears are just idling in there. They're not really being any power through them. But when you put it in third gear, you're putting all the power through all the gears in the transmission. It makes a lot of heat, and it can take its toll. I mean, these cars make 900 horsepower. That's a lot of power to put on that transmission all day.
Jamie McMurray in that one car at one time today had run well up into the contending for a top 10 finish, then had a pit road penalty, knocked him back in the pack, and he hasn't recovered that track position yet.
Yeah, his car's been pretty good, but just not the scenario that he's needed to work himself back towards that top 10 that he was flirting with earlier in the race.
This race is going on for 20th and 21st positions. McMurray in 20th, this side-by-side for 21st with Regan Smith and David Ruderman. And a change for 9th. Dale Jr. moving up. Finally shook free from Carl Edwards.
Yeah, Junior's car's been pretty good since we went back. He just was mired back in some traffic, and he's trying to move forward. He started, and when we went to the red flag situation, he was in 5th and has a pretty good race car.
And I'll tell you what, he has been very aggressive driving it today, too. He's just really charging to the front and has a good car. Jamie?
Yeah, you guys talk about Dale Jr. when he restarted, and they came in and pitted. They had a long stop because they had a hung lug nut, and that cost him quite a few spots. So he's trying to make that up on the track now. But the last round of stops, perfect. No adjustments, 4 tires for Junior.
What that means, they're taking the lug nuts off to change the tires. One of them is still stuck on there about a thread or two. And if you have to reach back and get that, it costs you so much time. It costs you a lot of spot.
And it seems like those things never happen when everything's going great. But when you're struggling, trying to come out of a little bit of a slump, you still have all of these things that create problems for you.
See, Junior's shifting gears every straightaway.
Junior shifting gears, but his teammate Jimmy Johnson, we saw a minute ago, or heard a minute ago, possibly reporting vibration, possibly holding that gear shift lever, that 48 in high gear. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim, a little closer look at what's going on inside that transmission for us.
Yeah, AB, we got a lot going on in here. Like Andy said, when you've got it in high gear, you see this mode right here and this gear right here, you're running straight through the transmission. It's no big issue. But when you put it up in third gear, you engage these other gears. It drops down through the cluster, back up through the transmission. You got a lot of moving parts in here. But when you like shell one of these teeth off, that thing's on a self-destruct mode, because sooner or later it's going to pick that up, contaminate the rest of the oil, and you're looking at total contamination, and that's when you're going to start tearing all the teeth off of all the transmission gears. So right now, high gear is a good mode to be in for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, and then you just hope that, like you said, those other teeth don't jump up in there and cause havoc for everything else.
And there is still plenty of time to go in this race. We are 400 miles down, 100 miles to go, weather permitting, which looks like it will be, by the way. And the race for the lead, there was a pretty big gap.
Yeah, something's happened between this, this run and the last run. Kyle Busch is now way faster than Kurt.
Yeah, it could be exactly what Kurt was saying. He felt like maybe as the track rubbered in some more, that he was going to go back to maybe the way his car was before. And it looks like Kyle and his group have made a pretty good chassis adjustment, even though he wiggled a little bit there in turn 3.
We'll see this lap where Kurt might be a little quicker, because it looks like he slipped just a little bit.
Pretty close to the same.
Yeah, that's not much different.
Not much. Keselowski, though, still the quickest of that group. Jeff Gordon.
We've had an eye on him for a good bit of this race.
Now Mark Martin's showing up the fastest.
Gordon up to 7th spot, trying to find a way around Joey Logano for 6th. Jeff started the race back in 31st place. After slipping off turn 2, bouncing off the wall in qualifying, the team having to make repairs overnight from about the 2 on that right side door all the way back to the end of the car.
They're heating up now for the lead.
Kyle Busch.
Think Kirk will give it to him?
No, they might be brothers, but there's not much give and take between these two. They're just racers and competitors, and that's just somebody else who's in their way trying to take their spot as far as they're concerned.
It's not like he's not trying. Lit him up right there.
So Kyle Busch goes to the front, or will when he comes to the start-finish line this time. And he'll be out front with 37 laps to go. Still another round of pit stops.
Hey, there's another car running really good this run, and that's Brad Keselowski in that 2 car. He was the fastest car on the track last lap while these two were racing each other.
Yeah, I've been seeing him be just a little bit quicker than both of these cars. There'd be nothing better for him for all of the whole week that he's had, but to help himself in this wild card situation to get a second victory would be huge.
What he needs is a good solid finish too. He needs to get in the top 20, solidly in the top 20, just to have a chance of taking advantage of that wild card spot.
And really, the looking ahead strategy that Paul Wolf made for that 2 team really paying off, because the races stayed green. They're back on even tires with everybody and got the track position.
Both the Penske cars have benefited from that.
Landon Castle has just been on and off pit road. A black flag from NASCAR. They had a missing lug nut on their pit stop. Had to come back in and put one on.
So Jeff Gordon really working hard. He has a faster race car, but the other driver talked about earlier, when you catch them, I believe it was Jimmy Johnson, catching somebody and passing them, just 2 different things here. You need to get some clean air to the nose.
Well, the last lap, I just looked at the monitor. Joey Logano was the fastest car on the track.
That means Jeff's pretty good then if he can pass the fastest guy out there. Looks like he's going to make that pass maybe this time.
Gets it done.
So Gordon up into 6th position. Needs a caution if he's going to have a chance.
Yeah, he's over 10 seconds out of the lead, so it will take a caution if he's going to. Oh, you see a big wiggle from Gordon right there.
Yeah, I mean, big time. He had to really get out of the throttle.
And here comes Logano right back.
Man, that just aggravates you so much as a driver. You've worked hard to finally get that pass made.
Not going to give it up yet.
He's going to outpower him down into turn 2. I think Joey was also understanding, too. He knew that Jeff was faster, and he wasn't going to press the issue.
So Gordon and Logano, while racing for that spot, find themselves about 3 seconds off of 5th place Denny Hamlin, who was able to put some gap on them while they were racing side by side.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin, looking at his lap times, they're still struggling with the handling of that race car. It's certainly not what it was at the beginning of this race.
Had a great first half of the race. He led 65 laps of this thing.
But again, on the pit stop after the rain delay, lost a few spots on the pit road, and Doc, right now, that's kind of put him a little bit behind.
Alan, exactly that's the case. I mean, you guys saw that he lost 4 positions when he made that pit stop after the red flag. And DJ and Andy predicted the track would be very loose and very slick after the rain. That's exactly what's the problem for Denny Hamlin. He said he's so loose getting off of turn 3, he can't get any momentum until the car gets straight coming down the long straightaway. And if you're loose off of 3, DJ, and you can't make that shift, you lose big time down the front stretch.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Doc. You need to be able to power up back in the center of the corner and not come out of the throttle to make that time down that long front straightaway. And when you can't do that, it's very frustrating as a driver.
You see this right there. There's no rear grip in that car.
Coach Gibbs looking on, still having a very fine day. He's got a car in the lead. He's got a car in 5th. He's got a car in 7th. So Denny Hamlin hoping for a caution and a chance to make an adjustment on that car and see if he can close the gap up and race for it at the end.
Caution will come out now and get interesting though. We're right here on the edge of the fuel window.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even seen anybody really approach that all day long.
With that long rain delay that we had, I say long rain delay, we've had longer rain delays, but with the rain delay that we had, easy to forget some of the stories and some of the adventures that people have had throughout the day. Greg Biffle, earlier in this race, had some troubles.
He got penalized for changing lanes on restart and had to come down pit road, so he's making his way back up. See right here, he was trying to catch up. He was just coming around after getting the wave around. Has a little momentum and is looking for a place to take it. Didn't wait till he crossed the line, though. That's a penalty.
And after going all the way to the back of the field there, Dave, the Biff has chipped his way up to 13th.
And they were happy to pit under that last green flag run that we had because he had debris on the grill. A couple of pieces of tape had gotten lodged on there, and his temps were way up, both oil and water. So when he came down pit road, they grabbed some of them up. They even had to use a steel brush to get some that were lodged in there. And now it's running much cooler and just slightly tight for Biffle right now. They're planning a air pressure adjustment, little air out of the right front when he comes down pit road around lap 175.
Johnson, he's still running fourth. Just wonder if his problem is kind of stabilized. Maybe he's gone back to shifting. If he's not shifting, he's running pretty good. You know, pretty good lap times to just be staying in high gear.
You would think that maybe if there is some kind of issue there that he probably is just staying in high gear right now. And if he's going to go to shift and wait till later in this race to maybe take that chance.
See right there, he's still in the same shot with the leaders.
So Brad Keselowski's catching up to his teammate there, Kurt Busch, who's running second right now. Davey, what are they saying about this too?
And Brad Keselowski been turning about the same lap times as Kyle Busch. This was him on the radio moments ago.
Really good job keeping that thing under. You see all these guys are squirrely off of 3. You're not right now. 4, this is my best run, Paul. Drive stayed with me the longest right here.
He's saying the drive off is staying with him the longest. And Paul, his crew chief, said, all right, any changes for this next round of stops? Keselowski said, no idea. I am really happy right now. Look for them to pit in about 7 to 8 laps, Alan.
Jamie, thanks. Gutsy call by Paul Wolfe. The strategy at the rain delay to get this car track position. Gutsy performance by the driver after that nasty crash he had testing down at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, you have to give a call to Brad Keselowski. I mean, this young man's beat up. You're sitting in there, his back's hurting. That makes it hard to use your legs and feet anyway, but he's doing a tremendous job. And when you have that drive off later in a run, you can really make up a lot of time on a lot of people.
Dropping back from the leader through second and third to fourth place, Jimmy Johnson.
He's kind of lost contact with Brad Keselowski. I'm just wondering if he's still shifting. We'll get to see it here if he's shifting, at least going down the back straightaway. So far, it looks like he's just staying in high gear. Yep, you can see the RPMs. You see now, by not shifting, you see he's going all the way down to 6,700 in the middle of the corner. And this is the shortest straightaway. You'd normally like to see about 9,500 at the end of the straightaway. You can see only get 83.
That balky transmission going to be a problem for him when he makes his last pit stop?
If it'll stay together, all it's going to do is really cost him some speed. I mean, he just stayed in high gear, but I'm sure they're worried about whether that thing's going to make the rest of the way.
And his lap times aren't off much at all. I mean, just a couple of hundredths off of what Kyle Busch ran there. So
he might even found something better.
Yeah. And sometimes you think, okay, as the tires fall off and we see pit stop starting here. Carl Edwards on pit road now.
And so is Kevin Harvick. This is what the strategy is going to be, is to pit when you can make it. Doc?
Final stop of the day, Andy, exactly for Carl Edwards, is getting very, very good fuel mileage. Our points leader, right side tires. They will come around and make left side tires. And Carl said the car was tighter in the corner, but better off. So just a minor air pressure change. And Carl is down on the way for his final stop. Kevin Harvick in. There'll be a right side tire change there. They're calling for 4 tires. And we'll come around to the left side, put left side tires on for Harvick. Been a bit of a struggle today with Harvick. Very, very loose most of the day. Vince.
The 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya, he just says it has no wheel in it across the bumps. It just kind of skids. So they're going to make an air pressure adjustment for Montoya and give him 4 tires. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, we've documented the transmission issues they seem to be having. He's keeping it in high gear. It's a 4-tire change, a little too snug, so they freed him up as well. Doc.
Denny Hamlin in for his final stop of the day. So the car is loose off of turn 1, tight in the middle. We showed you how loose he was trying to get in the gas out of turn 3. Major chassis adjustment for Denny Hamlin to go trying to get this car tightened up off of turn 3. Turns just gets by Ryan Newman. And pitting in front of Newman, his teammate Joey Logano. 4 tires, air pressure, and he is gone for his final stop.
And your leader, Kyle Busch, coming in. This will be with 27 laps to go once he trips the scoring across the start-finish line. Brad Keselowski had gotten around Kurt Busch for second. Both of those drivers follow the leader onto the pit lane. Jeff Gordon as well. Don't get a speeding penalty here. That was close. Dave?
That half-rounded track bar on the 18 really helped, said Kyle. I don't know if I want to adjust, if I don't have to. They did not. Air pressure, if anything. So 4 tires for Kyle. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch, who has lost the lead, his car is still loose. For Kurt, they're going to make just an air pressure adjustment on the 22. Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski came in and made his stop. The car is so good, no adjustments for the number 2, who's been running some of the fastest laps of the day, guys.
All right, Jamie, so those drivers headed back out. Greg Biffle has assumed the lead. Here's Matt Kenseth, Dave.
For the first time today, Matt really happy with his race car. He is just a little bit loose off the corner. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment for that, but this is the best the 17's been all day.
Well, if he can get a caution to try and close up a little bit, maybe he can do something with that car that's as good as it's been all day.
And what we just saw was a road course style strategy. Everybody pitting when they know they can make it to the end. They factored in what they might think about a green-white checker, but they pitted when they knew they could make it.
Here's Greg Biffle from the lead. Dave?
Alan, are you telling me he got a point today? Are you telling me that?
Yes, sir.
His excellent adventure continues. He got a point for leading a lap. They'll make an air pressure adjustment already been done to the right front tire, slightly tight, so they'll reduce that air pressure. Jamie?
AJ Allmendinger earlier was having problems hitting the splitter on the track. They made an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires here for AJ, who was trying to get better. You see the wrench in the back that made a quick adjustment there. As the clock continues to work away, yep, right side, they are going to take 4 tires here. They wanted to get that car a little bit better. They felt like this was a place they could run well. He's down and away, 15.2.
And just to make the point about Dave's point, that point he was talking about was the bonus in the championship for leading a lap during the race, which Biffle did on pit road under that stop.
The start-finish line goes all the way across and crosses pit road, so you can lead the race even when you're coming down in the pits, and here comes Tony.
That is from the lead as well, so point taken there. And Tony Stewart to the attention of his crew and our David.
4 tires for Tony Stewart right now. Really hasn't said much about the car all run. Boy, it sounded like it was bobbling there, but I don't think he's that low on fuel. Gooch Patterson getting 2 cans of gas in there right now. It'll be a 4-tire change for him. Air pressure adjustment, if anything, for the 14.
So Tony away, which cycles things back around to Kyle Busch.
And Tony didn't lead that lap. The 18 actually came by him before he was able to cross the start-finish line there. Going across from the pit road, so stayed out there as long as good. And you're telling me, so this 2 weeks in a row, we've seen road course strategy on ovals. What are we going to see next week at Washington?
Yeah, stand by. We'll see.
There's the gap first to second. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and back to Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch as well. So not really any significant shuffling of positions on that green flag round of pit stops. Do we see the caution again before this race concludes? Kyle Busch out in front with 24 laps to go. Denny Hamlin has led the most laps today. You see Joey Logano and Kurt Busch also spending significant amounts of time out in front. A lot of lead changes because we've had a lot of green flag pit stops. Only 4 caution flags, one of those for rain. Championship leader Carl Edwards is in 8th position right now. Story on the day, the red flag for rain that came out just past the halfway point of the race, an hour and 40 minutes under the red flag. Little strategy played by that team. The Penske team, for both of its drivers, pitting under the green as they saw the rain coming, not pitting when the others did after the red flag finished up and we went back racing. They've got them track position, and they've both done a good job of maintaining.
I'll tell you, that was a gutsy call by Paul Wolf and Steve Addington on the Penske teams to do that, you know, to pit before it started raining, knowing it was going to, and then gambling on the race restarting.
Other stories we are following, the Jimmy Johnson transmission concerns. that we've documented here in recent points. Championship standings, a little bit of a shake today, with David Reagan being involved in a crash early in the race.
I think the team's learned a lot about this transmission shifting issue up here. Have made adjustments and made it work good. We haven't seen any problems really.
Brad Keselowski working a little bit of lap traffic and commenting about his competition on the radio.
48 got third gear back onto the pit stop here. You're doing fine. Chad wants to wave that magic wand, huh? That's like horseshoe.
Well, maybe found that horseshoe.
Got his third gear back. That means he's going to be a little quicker. I think the teams, like you said, learned a lot about that, and the drivers too. I think the drivers have been conservative with it, and when they use it when they need it. Right now is when they need it.
So tell me if you think I'm far off base, but if you were feeling a vibration that you thought was in the transmission and you made a pit stop and went back out, how would it fix itself? Or is it a vibration that might have gone away with a tire change?
That's probably what it was more than anything else. You know, Jimmy probably felt the vibration, said, okay, I'm not messing with that transmission. That might be where my problem's at. I'm not going to mess with it. And then he makes a pit stop, all of a sudden the vibration's gone and goes, huh, okay, let's try third.
Yeah, and that's trouble right here. Montoya and the 4 car of Casey Kane getting together.
And the caution flag is out.
Trying to tell you you're outside, but we're talking.
Sounds like a little radio traffic blocking the way of the spotter.
Yeah, that happens from time to time.
So this is the 5th caution of the race. It's out with 21 laps to go. Montoya.
Hold on, guys. Come on in here. We're going to go on the right side and work on the right front fender.
That's the 2 spotters talking it over.
Montoya and Kane had both been having a pretty lousy day, and one of them's just got significantly worse.
And I don't think it did a lot of good to the left front of the 4 car, Casey Kane, either.
Oh, man, the whole right side of Casey's car is coming up.
All right, both of them's day got significantly worse.
Now, he had some of that damage, but I think he's got left front and it put him into the wall on the right side, too.
Don't worry about the fender. Let's go. Get the tire on. Get the tire on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get the tire on. Let's go.
Try to beat the pace car.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 4,700. 4,700. 47. 47. Don't speed to save it. I don't know if we...
Doesn't look like you're going to. Rule in NASCAR is you cannot speed on pit road to try and save a lap. If you do, they'll take that lap back from you anyway.
But I think because that we're watching the replay here, you see Casey Kane was up on the outside. Obviously, Montoya had no idea that he was there. But I believe because Casey Kane was pitted down there, and once Kyle Busch gets to the start-finish line, then Casey Kane should be able to go back out in front of him.
You heard the radio was busy. I was trying to tell you outside.
There have been some good information about that time.
Yes. Well, Kyle Busch had a sizable lead erased by the yellow. Oh, darn.
Yeah, he knows that. Yeah. He knows that brings a lot of different people into play here now. And these restarts, as we said, have been crazy.
All right, Andy, you just stopped under the green flag. You're going to stop here if you're Kyle Busch.
Probably not. Nope. I'm going to stay out, actually. If I was in the top 5 or 6, I would stay out here and just kind of, you know, depending on how my car was. If I was about 6th, 7th, and felt like I was going backwards, I'm coming. And what that's going to do is bring just about everybody behind you with you. And for that matter, if Kyle Busch decided he wanted to pit, that'd probably bring a bunch of them in.
But not all of them.
Yeah, but he's not going to.
Pit road is open. Be 19 laps to go this time when they cross the stripe. Any takers? Oh, yeah.
There's a few. Quite a few, actually.
Denny Hamlin, yes.
Denny didn't feel good about his car, and that's why he makes his pit stop. I mean, he knew he couldn't win the way he was.
Exactly. Some others faked. Jimmy Johnson was one who did not stop. Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Johnson, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Logano, Biffle, Bobby Labonte, David Ruderman did not pit. John?
right side tires on the 99 car of Carl Edwards. Right side only, going to top it up in fuel. The fuel weight will help it loose. Likewise, right side only for Denny Hamlin. No fuel for Hamlin. He said, I'm still very loose coming out of 3.
That's not going to help Denny's track position any.
No, because a lot of cars took 2 tires and beat him out. So this is going to definitely, yeah, you can see Mike Ford not happy with this whole scenario here.
That's not going to work out the way they were hoping. So this will shuffle up the order behind the leaders. But again, the top 5 didn't stop. Denny Hamlin's pit stop.
Yeah, I kind of missed the end of this one. I was looking down on pit road. Just getting 2, I believe, but they had trouble on the right rear. Oh, my, yep. See right there, you can see him Denny's putting the car in gears, what made it jump like that. Yeah, and they took 2 tires. Got beat by a bunch of cars. Not so much for that strategy. So.
Prepare a good car, come to the racetrack, run well all day, and it just, the late stages of the race, it's all going to turn inside out on them. It's a perfect example of how hard this business is, this racing business, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Everything anymore is just about got to be perfect.
Yeah, if you're going to make that strategy work, you got to get in. You can be the first car back on the track with tires, and hopefully then you can start passing cars. And if you have a hiccup, then you've got 5 or 6 cars that's in front of you now, you know, so he's just really not going to have any way of making that up.
Yeah, I was going to say that you can't really make a mistake and expect to win, but Kyle Busch spun out earlier today, but he's had a fantastic car, and everything's kind of fallen their way to get themselves back up to the front.
So Carl Edwards is going to be the first one who did make a pit stop. He's going to be 10th in line for the restart.
I bet Dale Jr. is not far from him, is he?
Probably not.
They've been together this last half of the race, have they not?
One car between.
If I told you about when they doubled up, he was going to be running his back bumper, would you be surprised?
Not a bit.
That's how it's going to be.
I'll tell you, this restart's going to be exciting. Brad Keselowski's had a really good car, and peaking at the right time in this race. He's hungry, man.
And there's not a lot of love lost between those two that's going to start on the front row there either.
Let's check in down on pit road, gauge the mood, gauge the thoughts. Jamie?
Well, Paul Wolf, crew chief for the 2 of Brad Keselowski, you told me you guys weren't aggressive enough last week. How aggressive are you guys going to afford here for these last 20 or so laps?
Well, I mean, I think we've got a fast car now that we got up there in the clean air. We made a small adjustment on that last stop, and he's pretty happy with the balance right now. So it's all about this restart. Whoever gets in the lead here is going to be able to probably drive off. So we just need us a good restart here and bring the Miller Lite Dodge home with a good finish.
They'll be good on fuel for one green-white checker, Dave.
With Dave Rogers one more time. Dave, is he the fastest car on the track or not, and what can he do if not?
Well, the 2 car was a little bit faster than us early in the stints. Hopefully, as we get some laps on our tires, we prevail. But there's nothing I can do. You know, Kyle's going to drive the wheels off it and see if we can put this M&M soda Camry in victory lane. Our only option there was to stay out. We'd give up too much track position if we pitted and tried to make the car better. So we'll see. It should be a good race.
We'll be watching. Doc?
Well, Denny Hamlin has a great pit crew. The crew won the pit stop competition a year ago. But let me show you what happened. It cost them some valuable time. You see, they glue these lug nuts here on the wheel. And when they roll the right rear wheel out, the lug nuts had just been glued on. And because of the moisture and humidity, the glue hadn't dried. And when they put the wheel up, the lug nuts popped off on the ground. So they had to spend time picking them up and putting them back on. And that cost Denny Hamlin valuable positions on pit road.
Doc, thanks. Hamlin is back in 17th place right now.
See, 9.3 for 2 tires. That's terrible slow. Ryan Newman, 5.8.
So Denny has some work to do just to get a top 10 finish, let alone contend for the win.
He's got his work cut out for him.
But I'll say this. The way the late stages of all these races have been this year, I don't know what's going to happen in these final 16 laps.
Yeah, and I don't know where that other rain set was. We can see the sun's out now again, so
we're good to go.
Heating this racetrack up should be fun.
Under this caution, that car, David Gilliland. That car and that driver got the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. David was the first guy a lap down, gets back on the lead lap here, and Gilliland is going to show in 26th position for the restart as he catches up to the pack before we go. So, 3 wide, 4 wide, turn 1.
I'll get up here on the edge of my seat. Yeah. I think we're at a minimum of 3 wide as we exit turn 2 and down the back straightaway. I think that's where more of the stuff up front's going to happen. You see the driver, he's waiting. He's got to get this thing in gear to take off. He's kind of expecting that, but he's tired to be done. Yeah, and his problem was he probably let off the brake there thinking that was done. And so you've got to get it in gear, especially with a 2-tire stop to be ready to go. I don't think that caused a problem. It didn't help.
Pace cars off. Green flag in the air. Kyle Busch chooses the inside lane. Look at this. Down to the inside. 3 wide. Here comes Johnson.
Oh, Kyle with a big run in the middle here.
Keselowski to the lead. Johnson and Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch
and
racing.
They're like 5 wide behind them.
Hold your breath.
Oh, man, it's not going to work out good if they don't sort it out. They do, somehow, for the time being anyway.
That's for 3rd place. So Brad Keselowski, battered feet and all, is the leader with 15 laps to go. Can he manage to put some distance on Kyle Busch and hold on to the lead to score what would be an incredible win?
Well, that was a huge turn 3 that Brad Keselowski put on Kyle Busch right there. Saw Kyle drive to the bottom trying to get a run on him. Drove away from him down the front straightaway. If I'm going to be strong, that's the corner I want to be strong in this last part of the race. Look who's running.
There they are again. Dale Jr., Carl Edwards. Seems like they've been racing for position about the whole second half of the race. This is for 8th.
Yeah, and see what they can do here. They've got 2 right side fresh tires here. See Jr. get a good run off of turn 2. Here comes Paul Menard on the inside of Edwards.
Up front, things settling in. Still pretty heavy action back in the pack. That might be as deep as Joey Logano in that 20 has been in the field for about the entire race. 13th right now.
He ran pretty much the top 5 the entire day. He's going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to get anywhere back to the top 10. See Kyle closing in a little bit. You have a history going back into the nationwide days and trying to win championship there. Not really getting along on the racetrack quite a few times. I say, if you can be good in this corner, you can carry that momentum all the way down the front stretch. Well, both of these last 2 laps now, Kyle Busch has stayed in that upper groove, kind of following, and he's been able to stay in his tracks. He's going to have to do more than that.
Dale, put me inside that 2 car for a minute. How much time are you spending looking in the mirror? How much time are you paying attention to what the guy behind you is doing?
Yeah, I think you look as you come off the corner and get on the straightaway, you take a glance, but that's about it. You want to know if there's some place that he may be beating you, can you do something a little bit different? But you're looking forward most of the time, hitting your marks, knowing that your car's good enough. If you do your job, then that car behind you is not going to be able to pass. So we see Ryan Newman trying to go by Jeff Gordon now for 5th. Powers by him, getting into tunnel turn.
Picking up some spots. Mark Martin. Look at this group. Martin in the 5, Boyer in the 33, Harvick in the 29, and Joey Logano still sliding back. That's 18th he's about to lose to Matt Kenseth.
He might have a tire going down. Doc?
Yeah, Joey Logano, guys, has a tire going down. He radioed a moment ago. The car just absolutely not responding at all in the corner. Just said, come on down. We'll go ahead and put one on. Don't try to milk it here. Just get down pit road. We'll put one on and see what we can do. Right now, Joey just trying to hang on until he can get back around. A lot of traffic there in front of him and behind him on the racetrack.
That's tough.
Coach Gibbs is looking right now back at lap with 76 to go there. He had his car.
Come to pit road this time if you got a problem, but we'll get you tires. Come on, we might as well pit now.
He's still a long way from pit road. Hope that thing
Get
makes
the
it
left
back.
rear or just the right side? I think it's just the right side, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's so hard to tell as a driver at these
Right
speeds.
sides, if I see a left side down, I will call 4 tires, Sophia.
That's tough. Joey Logano spent a lot of time leading this race, 44 laps. He started on the pole. He was the leader at the red flag for rain. Would have won it if it didn't restart, but it did.
Yeah, and with that, if it wouldn't have restarted, he was actually in one of the chase positions with the wild card with a victory, but sun came out and we're racing hard to the end now, 11 to go.
Greg Biffle still rallying from that penalty earlier in the race. Racing now for 7th with Dale Jr. as Logano makes the pit stop. Those are the days that must really send you home with that burn in your stomach.
Looking at the leaderboard, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch ran exact lap times to the thousandths of a second last lap.
Yeah, those days do drive you crazy out. You're exactly right. You've done everything right all day, get yourself in a position. Looked like you might win the race, and now you're going to finish outside the top 20.
I've seen it go like that for years and then get worse.
That's not good.
I know. Really impressed by Brad Keselowski.
Plenty of time.
What Brad's doing out front here with the car that looked for a lot of the race to just be maybe a good top 10 car, but he's got it out front and getting the job done at a very critical time.
Looks like that 2 car's getting a little bit freer, at least off the
Really good. 66 to his 71. 80s and 90s behind you.
Calling out lap times, crew chief.
Yeah, that's what you're going to do right here. You just want to just give him his lap times every lap, let him know what's going on, so he doesn't have to look around. Like Dale said, you don't want to be looking in that mirror to see what you're doing and gauge your performance. You want to really focus on making good shifts, and hitting your marks, getting in the corner. We'll let you know how you're doing.
We give you also that spotter Joey Meyer on the radio with Brad Keselowski giving him information.
Everything he gains is in. You walk away a little bit further off the corner.
It does still look like Brad's a little better off turn 3.
Yeah, just beat him by 100th of a second right there. But the key is he is either breaking even or beating Kyle Busch a little bit each lap.
Still this pretty good race for position.
Man, look at Junior hit the bumps in there. Hey, Junior's wheeling that thing today.
Yeah, he's had a really good, solid day. I think something just happened. I see Biffle just braking. I thought it looked like he slowed down, but he's just breaking the draft a little bit there, trying to get away from Junior, not letting him get to that bumper where Junior could loosen him up a little bit by not actually touching him.
Biffle, enough of you. Get off my bumper. Jimmy Johnson now trying to work over Kurt Busch for the 3rd position. While Brad Keselowski continues to hold off Kyle Busch. How about that move on that restart by Jimmy Johnson to get down there inside and try and go 3 wide?
I think that was the move that helped Keselowski get the lead.
Absolutely, yeah. Kyle was just preoccupied with the 48 car, and Brad Keselowski just powered right by him.
Okay, you see now Jimmy Johnson shifting back into 3rd in the corners. He's back to normal. I think it's just like we speculated, Bill. I think maybe he had a vibration and just said, okay, I'm not messing with that transmission.
How much he's picked up as far as doing that. I know he thinks that to make this pass, that's what he's got to do. And you try to use everything that you've got inside the car. You see Kurt Busch sliding his off the corner also.
It's Carl Edwards way down to the inside. Trying to get by or trying to hold off Greg Biffle.
Got by Biffle there. Yeah, he's actually passed Earnhardt, hasn't he? So he's made a nice little run here.
That's what made me double clutch.
You know what? I think it's drivers just search around the racetrack, try to find something. And Carl's one of those guys that's not going to be satisfied to sit there and ride it out. He's going to try to find something that'll work for him.
It's all 3.
turn 3, Brad is just better in that corner. Looks like the 18's better than the other two.
Yeah, and it's just by a very small margin, too. But Brad keeps doing it lap after lap and keeping that margin.
Like I said, if I have one corner, I want to beat him. That's the one, because you got that long straightaway afterwards.
6 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson trying to find a way to set up Kurt Busch.
Not going to do it like that.
That's not from a lack of trying on Jimmy's part. My goodness.
But for now, he's not able to find a way around him and has to stay in third. Looks like Kyle Busch closed up.
He did, yeah. Off of turn 1 that time, he did close down on the 2-car a little bit. You can see if he can get to the bumper and that 2-car's already a little bit loose, could make it pretty interesting.
There it is. How can Brad pull him off turn 3 again?
Well, that's a big key. You see Kyle lose the front end of his car just a little bit there on the exit.
Beat him pretty good, too.
5 more laps. Good exit. 5 to go to the line. 5. You got him, babe.
See, that's what Kyle's got to do. He just got to keep working those other 2 corners till he can get right up on the bumper. And if he can get right to him getting 3, he might not be able to beat him as much.
See if he can pick up any ground off of 1 here.
Looks like he's losing some there.
Yeah, right there.
He might have overheated that right front.
And Jimmy's still dogging Kurt.
He's running around of laps to try and find a way to make that work, too.
Sometimes you're using and changing those gears and you get that more power to the rear wheels. All you're doing is spinning the wheels. You're really not gaining anything.
Still hard not to mash it wide open, though.
Oh, absolutely. Got to do all you can.
Pretty good days for Ryan Newman and Jeff Gordon. Newman's team at one point losing some track position down on pit road. They've kind of chipped their way to try and dig out of that deficit. Jeff Gordon, remember, starting 31st after damaging the car in qualifying. Charged up toward the front after a slow first run of the race, but then it kind of leveled off on him, and he's never really been able to make his way up through the top 5.
Made a big run at Keselowski, and it just didn't work out. Now he's kind of overheated his tires a little bit.
Yeah, he lost about 3/10 on that last lap to Brad Keselowski. See Mark Martin make their pass here on Jeff Burton.
Yo, that was close. Mark lifted up a little bit there to make sure he could make the corner. So 3 laps to go now.
I need 3 more laps. Nice and smooth, no mistakes here.
Busch came back and was about 2/10 quicker than Brad Keselowski on that lap. Just like as he gets close, though, that's the thing that these guys fight with these cars is they lose that air to the front end, and then that makes their exit speed not as good. You see Kyle still fighting.
Well, he's pushing hard right there. Really trying to make up ground. Let's see what he can do in the tunnel turn. The tunnel's really one of the turns Kyle's been able to beat the 2 car just a little bit. Keselowski had a good corner there.
Just how good is this with Brad Keselowski? I mean, we showed in the pre-race. If you saw that, just beat up both feet. His back is killing him. Just doing a fantastic job, Jamie.
Absolutely. The week that was on Wednesday, hit a non-safer barrier at over 100 miles per hour, broke his left ankle. His right foot is beat up. His back hurts. He's in a lot of pain. He's not even taking Advil for it. Then he comes out here this weekend. He spins in practice, and here he is leading the race, you guys. And I spoke to him when he got out of the car. Oh, my gosh, look at Kyle Busch is closing the gap. During that rain delay, Brad Keselowski came up, and he sat down, and he just looked at all of us and said, I'm exhausted. I am worn out. He's a left foot breaker. He's dealing with a lot with a brace on his left foot, and that is holding him back, he told me, quite a bit. So the team has really stepped up, made this car capable to be up front and perhaps even win this race, which would be his 2nd win of the season, Alan.
Jamie, thanks. Key turning point in the race. Hitting onto the green just before the red flag for the rain. Betting on the rain shower and betting on the race restarting after the rain shower. When it did, they stayed on the track, got the track position. Keselowski got the lead after Kyle Busch had to fight off Jimmy Johnson on a late restart, and the white flag is up. There's 1 lap to go.
Looks like Jimmy's going to get by Kurt Busch.
Go side by side. Boy, the position that this will put Brad Keselowski in, he's inside the top 20 with this, and then having 2 victories. He's still got a long way to go, though. He's got to go through the tunnel turn and turn 3. Yeah, but I like my chance with him. See Kurt Busch fighting back with Jimmy here. They touch coming down the back straightaway.
That could get ugly.
It's getting ugly.
It's getting ugly. Wow, that's a high-speed part of the racetrack to be doing that.
Maybe a crossover move coming right here. Yep. Or into the rear bumper, one of the two. See Jimmy's car smoking.
Maybe he's got a little fender damage in on a tire. While up front, the story of this one is going to be the young man who came back from a terrible crash on Wednesday of this week and has gutted out a win at Pocono Raceway as Kyle Busch tries off the final corner. He'll come up 1 spot short. How about Brad Keselowski winning at Pocono?
Well, that's impressive. See Kurt Busch able to hang on for that 3rd spot over Jimmy Johnson.
And the rest of the finishers, both across the top of your screen as they are every week.
You said you wanted to earn one, not fuel mileage. One hell of a job. Thank you.
He earned that one. Yes, he did. Saw Tony Stewart come home in 11th. That's a huge comeback for him. These 2 drivers still arguing over space.
Yeah, Jimmy's like, hey.
I suspect they'll discuss it when they come back around to the pit lane.
They're going at it hard. Beat up fender.
If physical actions inside the race car mean anything, Jimmy Johnson looks a good bit agitated.
Yes, I think he is. He can't get this stuff off quick enough to get out and have a little conversation.
All right, quick look at the action between these 2 in the last lap.
All right, guys, good job. Good job on pit road. Jimmy, you did a good job on the track today, man. Sorry. We'll get these cars figured out sooner or later. Did a good job.
So that was the race for 3rd place in the final lap. This day is all about this young man's 2nd win of this season.
Congrats to all you guys, man. That's an awesome way to come back and get them.
What kind of dance he's going to do with victory?
He said he would.
Yeah, he did. Our Goodyear winning moment. The Star-Spangled celebration for Brad Keselowski as he has done after each of his victories. We did see this coming.
I don't think there was any doubt. And I'm pretty sure that they're not agreeing on what took place back there. You came down, I went up. Here's that. Who's going to get the last word? This isn't the first time these drivers have had a disagreement about who ran into who.
Crew members trying to intervene there and say, okay. Well, Vince?
Well, certainly animated. And Jimmy, how about the conversation there with Kurt and what the message was you were trying to deliver?
More like a lot of yelling. I mean, I worked him over for 10 or 15 laps and had the opportunity to screw him up in this area of the turn, had the opportunity to run into him, never did it. And then off of 2, he claims I turned down on him off of 2, and I don't have a clue. He ran over me on the corner exit, and that's where it all started. So we'll figure it out.
Throughout the course of the race, as you stalked him, did you feel like now in hindsight that maybe you should have handled it differently?
No, I mean, I'm not going to run people over to pass him. That's just not me. And I worked on him for however many laps, trying to get by him clean, fair and square. And then as I got next to him, we had that issue up off of 2. So, just keep filing things away. Remember this stuff. There's a couple other guys out there that have been pushing the luck too.
Jimmy Johnson frustrated at the finish, but a very good day today, 4th place. Dave?
Vince, let's hear from Kurt Busch. 3rd place today, hard fought, especially at the end. Your talks with Jimmy?
We were fast on a fresh racetrack, and then we'd fade. Racing hard with Jimmy at the end. I was racing him flat out. you want to race, let's race. I didn't know we were supposed to pull over when it came down to 5 to go. Man, I raced him hard, raced him smart, raced him clean, and he wants to come over here and bitch about it. So, hey, he came off the turn and did a jab to me left. I did a jab back to the right. It's just as clean as I've ever seen it. Why can't we race each other like this and put on a show for the fans and not have a problem with it? I don't know.
Will this carry forward to the chase, Kurt?
It always does with the 48 and the 22.
Big day for these guys points-wise, but a little frustrating at the end for Kurt. Alan?
So the race for third in the final laps, generating some heated emotions after the checkered flag. Kyle Busch finished second today, Doc.
And what a comeback for Kyle Busch. Kyle, we back up this race, lap 12. You're spinning here on the racetrack and have to come down pit road and take a penalty, and you finish second. I mean, what a remarkable day.
Yeah, good day considering everything. You know, awesome opportunity to come out here with a good day. Wish we could have got a win and all to get in the sprint showdown, as well as, you know, just get another win to seed ourselves for the chase. But missed it. Just hate it for the guys. You know, the M&M's team, all these guys, Interstate Batteries on this Toyota, they did a great job. Dave and everybody, the pit stops were flawless. Just, I don't know. If I had to do it over again, I don't even know if I'd change anything. You know, I felt like the inside was my lane. I've been running down there lower all day and just got bogged down with the 48 trying to pass me. You know, if I could have got a push, I might have stayed alongside the 2 and beat him, but it's racing. That's why we're all out here digging, is for what all we can get. You know, thanks Sprint, Gillette, NOS Energy Drink, the fans. You know, this is fun for them to stick around and appreciate their staying here with us for the rain delay.
All right, Kyle Busch finishing second. Alan?
Doc, thanks, but this day is all about a young man who gutted one out in a grueling, demanding race on one of the sport's most challenging tracks, and for it, Brad Keselowski gets the win today and a spot in the Sprint Summer Showdown to race for the $3 million at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a performance for this young man, setting him up for a big moment come Labor Day weekend. Brad Keselowski is your winner at Pocono. Let's go to victory lane.
Remember, he has a broken ankle. It might take him just a little bit. He's got his beer in hand, gingerly crawls out of this car. Remember, it's not just the ankle, it is the back. Slowly, and he's up. Brad Keselowski is victorious here. The second time this year. Circumstances this time a little bit different. All of his team members, Roger Penske not here. Brad, the week you have been through mentally and physically, with your ankle the way it is, your back, how did you get through today and overcome all of that for victory?
It's not me, it's good people. It really is. It's having Paul Wolf and a team that digs. You know, and there's so many people to thank for being in victory lane, from Miller Lite to Sprint to the fans, but you know, I'm no hero. The heroes are the guys that died in Afghanistan this weekend, and I want to spend time thinking about them, and they were my inspiration for this weekend, the things that those guys do, and glad that we could win today, but those are the heroes. I just drive race cars for a living.
And a lot of those guys you speak of are your fans, and now the Sprint Summer Showdown, you are eligible to win $1 million for yourself in charity for one of your fans in Atlanta if you can win the race. How exciting is that?
Well, that's pretty cool. I'd like to win that money, but I'd much rather just get these guys in the chase. And I would throw away the money if I could promise them we'd be in the chase and have a good run for the championship. And runs like this are great until that we can do it. And good teammate, got Kurt here. Good teammate, help me out. Thanks, man.
There you go, Rob. Proud of you. Way to go. Get those 2 wins. Keep it up, man. Nice and steady.
Thank you.
Great job.
It takes people like that and everybody on this team working together, and has really turned around Penske Racing and made it something I'm proud to be a part of, and looking forward to years of success here.
Good news for you, Brad Keselowski. You are the #1 wild card, 11th. He wants to go to the chase, Nicole, and he is well on his way.
7 races ago, he got his first win of this season at Kansas. It was a fuel mileage win. After that win, he said, I want to earn one. That is exactly what he did today.